What's good, y'all? Sixth element of hip hop. This is your host, Reno Noir. We got a good show for you today, as always. We got Game of Thrones spinoff, House of the Dragon is back, season 2. Thank God there's something decent to watch right now. And then we got the Acolyte. Ooh, giving us so much fodder. So much fodder. Lots to talk about. Yeah, waiting on Stu Dog and them to join. But yeah, man, it's been a pretty interesting month, I'd say. Um the Boys came back. The Boys series, new episode or new season came back. Sadly, the one of the main characters, Laz Alonso, who plays Mother's Milk, um looked really different. I was like, yo, he shaved his beard. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of it seemed like he shaved his beard that or something was different. And everybody's making fun of him online. It's really bad because what it is obviously is he has cancer. Yeah. It's Chadwick Boseman all over again. I mean, looks, just as emaciated, yeah, extremely different look going into the series than he looked in the past. So that's sad, man. Laz Alonso, season 4 of The Boys, coming back as Mother's Milk. Drastic transformation in his look. Has raised a few reactions, few eyebrows on the internet. A lot of fans wondered if the character was recast. Actually, is this a different guy? They thought. Many others even rolled out creative memes on the matter, being kind of mean. Well, again, not knowing that he had cancer, just like, yo, bro, like you grow your beard back, maybe. Like you don't, maybe you shouldn't go, bald on the face, shit like that. But sadly, the situation, does remind us of a time when various comments were made on the late Chadwick Boseman's appearance, physique, shortly before his unfortunate demise. And, you know, are the fans repeating a grave mistake by commenting on Laz Alonso's new look? Laz Alonso, in previous seasons of the series looked a lot more healthy. Um, but yeah, that's just sad, man. Because it's a dope character and it's a dope show. And speaking of The Boys, Homelander fans finally get the point, and they're not happy. The without doing like a whole review, um, Boys was going to include. I was going to talk about like how the directors and writers and everything offered us a dark and twisted start to the series premiere. Well, this is the penultimate season, right? This is the last before the last season. And that raised the stakes in some pretty surprising ways. And I was going to address how the series continues to expertly balance the, pretty in, the insane violence and crazy shit with the heartfelt, and balancing the absurdity with some of the truly hard realities. And from there, would have touched on what amazing additions to the cast, Susan Hayward's sister Sage, and Valerie Curry's Firecracker, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Joe Kessler, and Rosemarie DeWitt's Daphne Campbell, Huey's mother, are, especially Curry, who holds down her own on the screen in ways that have us forgetting that she hasn't been with the series from the start. She just really fits. And we would have continued by praising the ensemble cast, by the way, for the way each of them has found a way to evolve their characters in interesting ways that give them growth and, development. character, growth, and connect with the viewers and be relatable. From Butcher, Butcher, that's my favorite character. Butcher, that's my guy. Carl Urban, who I think should play fucking Wolverine, but that's just me. And A Train, Jesse T. Usher, uh, respective attempts at redemption arc, character development, and Kimiko's efforts to literally kill her past, to Huey's efforts to reconnect with his mother. Huey's Jack Quaid, by the way. It's like Dennis Quaid's son, or I think it's his son. Um, then you've got Starlight being forced to confront her, confront the sins of her past, and she's got some work done. It's a little off-putting. She's got the uncanny valley thing going on. I don't like it when people do, what do you call, plastic surgery on their face. Never looks good. All right, Stew Dog, you're on the way. I got you, bro. That's what's up. Stew Dog is on the way. But the I would note that Laz Alonso, and the whole other cast, all deserve to be noted for their efforts, and how Anthony Starr, Homelander, continues flicking lit matches at Emmy voters and reminding them through his work that his Homelander might just be the best thing going in terms of what Starr brings to the character and how that continues to show in some truly unique ways. And instead, we'll just take a quick moment here to address those out there who've been review bombing the series, with season 4 currently sitting at 95% with the critics and 52% with the audience. Rotten Tomatoes, there's clearly a serious disconnect. This is not a situation where, of like, the Acolyte and there's 15%. I mean, that's not review bombing. It's no one likes it. But you can easily explain, if you check out the comments in the audience section. For example, in the Acolyte, they're just talking about the quality of the show, right? It's just not up to par. Various, there's here and there, but just so there's no confusion, review bombing is a series because it's review bombing a series, because it's too woke or too left leaning, or that kind of thing. You know, simply because it doesn't speak to your narrow-minded sensibilities, is not the way to go. But there's something especially sad and pathetic when it takes them 4 seasons to finally figure out that they, much like Homelander, who they worship as some kind of role model, aren't the heroes of the story. They've never been. They're never gonna be. He's not a good guy. Okay, he's never been. Uh, you know, it's generally like the Trump, the Homelanders, they call them the Homelanders. They're kind of like the Trump supporters, the Trump lovers. But is it fair that the show's 4th season has to suffer because of Homelander Trump lovers can't take a 10-ton megaton hint? No, but unfortunately, all we can do is resort to efforts like review bombing, so folks know how haters try to manipulate the system and peddle their steaming piles of acidry. That said, I do think I figured out why it took so long for them to realize that they weren't in on the joke, but in fact, they were the joke, aside from the obvious. Homelander was never the good guy. He was never gonna be the good guy. He was never meant to be the good guy. He's not written as the good guy. He's not a good guy. Um,
That's true. That's true.
he reflects those Trumpers, those Homeland. That's kind of what he does. It's a joke on the Trump supporter types who, are super misguidedly patriotic. We'll call it storming the Capitol, but Homelander, man, it's just funny to see them like coming to grips with the fact they're just like running around with chickens with their heads cut off. Stu, they can't believe that he's a bad guy, that he's being written as this bad guy. He's always
He
been bad.
always in the comics. For all you who some people don't read, I get that. But in the
Even
comic
in
book,
the show.
home, yeah, Homelander,
Yeah.
Homelander was he was the not only was he the bad guy, he was the big bad guy.
Yeah, main
and
villain.
it was written in the comic. He was a sleazebag in the comics. Like everything Homelander did in the comics, Homelander was like Kratos in the first God of War. He didn't save anybody. He didn't
Yeah,
help anybody. He wasn't there to do anything good. He had his own agenda. In the original comic, he was the one that he it was him, the flashlight dude and the other dude. They were the ones that raped Bright Light
right.
or whatever her name was. They raped her. Like
Starlight.
Homelander was the one that actually, yeah, Starlight. Homelander was the one that actually okayed it. Like he was like,
Right.
"Yo, you gotta take one for the team, baby." If that's what he
All right.
said, that's what it is. Like she
Right.
was looking at Homelander like, "Yo, can you believe he's saying this? Like, is this real?" Homelander was like, "Not only is it real, but I'm going first." Like what? Like, I don't- look,
I
like
want to
that's
go.
how. Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
going first. Like not
Right.
only is he serious, I'm going first. So what
Right.
you gonna do? Either you gonna spread
Right.
them or I'm gonna spread them. Like which way is it gonna go?
It was
Homelander was never
never.
meant to be a
Yeah, it
good
was never
guy,
subtle.
turn good guy. I know y'all like watching these movies and these TV shows where the bad guy turns good, or they're on the, or people go on the fence and they be like, oh, never mind, I just want to be good now. No, that's not Homelander. That wasn't him in the comic. That's never gonna
Mm-mm.
be him in the comic. And the reason why this show is so great is because they stuck to the source material. They
Yeah.
changed it a little. A few things were changed. They couldn't show 'em three guys raping a girl and a
Right.
few other things that went on, but it pretty much mirrors the comic almost exactly. Lock
Yep.
and Key was the same way. Lock and Key
Yep.
almost mirrored exactly what the comic was. The only difference was in the beginning when they killed the mother, I mean the dad, the
Hmm.
two boys that broke in the house, they actually broke in the house, they raped the mom, and then they killed the father. But they
Mm.
couldn't show it because it's just too graphic,
Right.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, I
But
got some.
Reno's
I got
right.
some covers.
Yeah, Reno's right. Homelander is not meant to be the hero. So for all you who want to be the hero, write your own Homelander story and make him the hero. But
Right.
as far as the TV show and the comic goes, no, that's not what we got.
It's like these guys. It's like they want him to be this not necessarily good guy, but they're thinking that he's the right wing hero, the nationalist,
No,
patriotic Trump guy.
nope,
He's there for the country. He's not
no,
down for the country. He's not down for you.
no.
Just like Trump
He's
is
down
not
for
down for
himself.
you. He's down for himself. He's not down for you guys. But you can keep, sucking his Cheeto if you want to. But but no, I was just time killing, man, until we got to the game, till we got to the meat of it, the Games of
Okay.
Thrones and Acolytes. So yeah, man, did you see the new Game of Thrones, the new spinoff, the House of the Dragon season 2, episode 1?
That's the prequel. Is that supposed to be a prequel, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I went and got the book. I went and got like a digital copy of the book. Because when I was
Mm,
watching it, man, it was a lot for me to soak in, but it was good though. The
yeah.
shit was good to watch. But it was just a lot for me to soak in at one time, and
Yeah.
I was like, and then I went and read like a little bit of the book, and I was
Yeah,
reading it. That's how I know it was a sequel. But the House of the Dragons is also it's not really like a story. It's more of like like a I don't know, like an oracle telling of what's gonna happen, like or something
the
like
book,
that.
you
Like
mean?
it tells, yeah, it tells like a
Yeah,
story of
yeah,
like,
like a
yeah, it's
history
like an
book.
oracle telling. Yeah, it's like a history
Yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting.
Not
It
like a
is. It's
novel.
interesting.
Yeah,
No, it's not. It don't even read like a novel, and
no.
it kind of threw me off. But when
Yeah.
I started reading it, what I did was I read a little bit, and then I went back and I watched it, and then I was
Mhm.
like, all right, I got some things. Like I was like, all right, I get this now. And so,
Yeah.
like all right, like I didn't realize that the reason why the I guess the Dragon Kingdom ruled all the seven kingdoms or whatever it is in that whole land was because they were the most powerful ones. They practiced
Mhm.
magic, like dragon magic, and they had the dragons, so they had the air superiority. So they were
Right.
able to conquer everybody because of the fact of the dragons. Like that's what
Mhm.
kept them in power. Well, it wasn't
Mhm.
like they had this massive army or anything like that. It was the dragons that kept them in power. And then
Right.
remember when there's a point where the dragons just refused to leave and go beyond the walls of the kingdom. That was devastating to them. And then the volcanoes erupted and the dragons died. There's a lot. There's a lot. It's
Right.
you know more about it than I do. but it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a whole lot. But
It is.
I just keep going on and on and on. And I don't because I got a lot of questions. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I got a lot of questions. I really do. I got more questions than answers. But
Well,
I will say I liked it. I loved it. Um, it was just great. Like I got a lot of questions about the characters. Like the dude with the foot fetish. What's his name?
oh yeah, Crackle,
Crinkle. Yeah. Now
Crackle.
he
I think, yeah.
now check this out. Now that's got to be it's got to be a power move for him
Oh
because
yeah.
they mention him but they don't show him in this joint. But he's got spies everywhere. Like he got spies everywhere.
Yeah.
He's very well connected. Like it's gonna be interesting to see when or if he turns up in this series at all. Like
Not Crackle. I'm
that's
sorry. His I think he's Laris.
I
I
think
think
it's something to club foot. They call him something to foot.
yeah,
He has a foot
yeah,
fetish. I know that. I was
yeah,
reading that in a book and I was like, damn, it's more it's just deep, man. The character creation to me is probably the most superb I've read in a book in a long time, besides Lord of the Rings. Um, the characters are very well written,
oh yeah,
and what I like the most is they have a history. And if you don't know that history, it's hard for you to understand what's going on.
yeah,
But not
yeah,
impossible, but not frustratingly hard where you be like, no, I don't watch this trash. It's you just like it makes you want to know more. Like you want to know why this person. So in the beginning of the show, you see the tapestry, which is something I found out through the book. And the tapestry
yeah.
explains the lineage because everything in Game of Thrones universe is explained through tapestries. And as you see the tapestry being weaved in the intro, that tells the story as well.
Hmm.
So you have to
Yeah, yeah,
actually, if you're watching this, yeah, you got to look at that really good to see what's going on. But it actually is
yeah.
telling the story at the same time, which I didn't know, and I had to go back and watch that after reading the book because I was like, "Yo, wait a minute,
Game of
wait a
Thrones.
minute."
Yeah, Game of Thrones was the same way. Their intro had it would go through like a map of Westeros, and it would just sort of or Essos, and it would sort of like be an aerial view over the map, and it would sort of fly around, and as it would get to certain places, it would like you would see the castles like build up and shit. But it would go to the places in the on the map that that episode was going to talk about. If you paid attention, you would see that, you know what I'm saying? If you watch like the beginning, it's gonna tell you like these are places we're gonna go in this episode pretty much, and they stuck to it pretty well. This House of the Dragon season one, they copied Game of Thrones in that sense, and they did the same sort of thing, sort of gliding through
Mhm. With the
castles.
tapestries,
No, no
yeah.
tapestries yet. No tapestries yet.
No, no,
They're
no,
just
no. I'm
they're
saying in the
weaving
intro, if
through.
you look at if right
No,
the
I'm saying
weave, if you look at
no.
go
Listen,
ahead, go
listen.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Season one didn't have that. Season one intro had like the cameras like gliding through mountains or like castles like stones and stuff, and there's all these like blood waterfalls, and we're watching all this blood trickle down these waterfalls, and the blood goes to the different house sigils made out of like, you know, whatever gold or whatever they would pop up in the blood, and you would follow the trail of blood through the stone thing. In this season, it looks like this episode we see that they did start it with a tapestry that's being woven, like you're saying, and we're seeing
Yeah.
that tapestry being like woven together, and that's a new thing for this season. And it's dope. It's a really dope
But see, I didn't
addition.
pay attention to that in the other seasons. But in
Yeah.
this season, I did only because when I read the book, they talk about the sigils of the tapestry of the what's his name, King Aegon or whatever, and something
Aegon?
whatever King, yeah,
Aegon, yeah.
Aegon. They talk about that, and he was
Yeah.
talking to somebody in the book, and he was telling them that their lineage you can go back like we don't like I guess they don't have books like that, like they don't have books that show their lineage, but it was woven in the tapestries, even in blood.
Mhm.
So like
Mhm.
everything is in blood. Like he was just telling them, like everything is in blood. And so when I went back and I watched the intro, like you were saying how I flew through it and I was watching the tapestry, if
Yeah.
I when I paused it, I was looking at different things that it was and it's actually stuff that's in the damn book. It
Mhm.
blew me away. Like I was blown away because like you said, it told the story of that kingdom this tapestry tells the story of this kingdom
Yeah.
and these people. So like
Right.
you can pretty much get you pretty much know a war is coming. I guess between the red and the green, because that's I read about that in there too. Um, and it just hasn't. It's manifesting itself. We're seeing it unfold before our eyes. The whole war and all the politics that went into it that made it unfold the way it did. And like
Yes.
to me, already just for one episode, that's dope. Because when I
Mhm.
watch the first episode of something, I'm usually bored. It's very rare
Mm.
that I see the first episode of anything I ever watch, and I'll be like, man, this is dope. I might like it, but I don't
Mhm.
be into it like the second episode or third because it's just too many introductions. It's too much. This is too much for me, and
Yeah.
but this right here, bro, this blew me away. I'm not even gonna lie, man. I'm a fan. I gotta go back and watch Game of Thrones again just
Oh
to get the
yeah.
full, just to get the
Bro,
full.
if you fuck with Lord of the Rings or any fantasy, anything like that, bro, this shit is it's next level, bro. It's must see. You know what I mean?
It
Like
is,
it's
bro. It
must see
is.
too. Absolutely must see.
Like Lord of the
Shit.
Rings. I like Lord of the Rings so much, Reno. If they made a movie with just the hobbits walking across a green grass field and just talking to each other and just singing and playing the flute and eating hobbit
Mm.
treats, I'm good with that. I'm all
Yeah.
right with that. Because I just like the whole lore so much. I'm
Yeah.
all right just watching the hobbits just walking up a mountain. I'm cool with that. You know
Bro,
what I
there's
mean? I'm cool with
this is that shit. This is like I mean, this is the most lore heavy. I mean, J.R.R.
it.
Tolkien, George R.R. Martin, the similarities don't stop there. This is just a bunch of look, these are some of the family trees of just some of the different houses, bro. It goes deep. This is all Game of Thrones
It
shit
does.
and
It does.
House
And
of
it
the
blew me
Dragon.
away. Yeah, it blew me
These
away how
are
much it is, how
these are
much it's into it.
this so far, these are some of the cast here. Well, this is mostly season 1 actually, but some of these guys are still here. Matt Smith on the far left, he plays Daemon Targaryen, and above their photos, you can see the way they're described in the books. So they obviously look a little different. Some of them different races. Pretty much everyone kept their gender, but races have changed. The Valerians are all black in House of the Dragon. They have white hair because they still have white hair. Like they had white hair in the books. They kept them with the white hair. They just made them black, and but they have dreads. So is that's dope. They're the only family left from the old Valerian place where the dragon riders come from, where the Targaryens come from, which is the main family that they are the house of the dragon. The Targaryens are the house of the dragon. And
Yes, they are.
yeah, so these are just some of the characters. The far, far, far other end where you see from the opposite of Matt Smith, Sonia Mizuno, her character is Masseria. She's an interesting character. She plays a character called the White Worm. Um, and she comes back. She's back in this what you call it, in this episode. And there's like she's got, like, a little bit of a lesser accent. They kinda toned her accent down. That was actually something that she was criticized for in the first, season, so they've improved her character portrayal, her accent. Season 1 had some divisive, responses due to the book changes, right? The characters are so different, versus how they are in the books, and a lot of people that are, like, super diehard fans of the books obviously are gonna be maybe a little bit uncomfortable with some of the changes. And some are welcoming them. Um Mysterious arc differs in the show from how in the book Fire and Blood, with HBO making her more of a sympathetic character, and that's kind of what they do. It's like she's way more of a villain in the book, and it's like this trend of making these villains more sympathetic. You know, it's kind of annoying, but that's kind of the world we live in. But yes, House of the Dragon returned Sunday night. I didn't know it was coming back, y'all. Shame on me. I did not even fucking know. I've been, this is one of my favorite shows. Game of Thrones is I think the best TV show
Wait a
ever made.
minute. Wait. Time out.
What?
You didn't know this was coming? Been all over
No, I didn't
TV,
know
all over the
season.
news.
I did not know season 2 was about to drop. Had no idea. Big surprise. Super happy.
Man, well,
Imagine. Imagine
I
having no
know.
idea that shit was coming, bro, and that shit just I'm sitting there on the site and I'm looking at shit and it's like yeah, House of the Dragon season 2 episode 1. I'm like, "Oh, what? Oh yeah." Super excited. Um it's been like a 2-year fucking hiatus, okay? That's why I kind of forgot. Like I kind of forgot, right? It's been like 2 years with a grim reminder of the kind of fantasy series this show is going to be. Season 1 wasn't cheerful at all. Very dismal, very dark. But season 2 is already off to a more even bleaker, I'd say, more depraved start.
Yeah,
With some
yeah, it is.
I like how the guy that's playing Aegon is kind of playing it. He's hamming it up a little bit. He's playing it a little bit fun. He's kind of having fun with it, being like kind of like he's like kind of funny. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. Um A Son for a Son is a brilliant premiere episode, and we are right away ushered back to Westeros. I was so like, see, you don't understand, bro. Like, if you look behind me, right, right there, that's a big ass like tapestry. You can't see it because it's behind. It's behind the shelf, but that's a big ass Game of Thrones tapestry. I got Game of Thrones shit all the time. Like Game of Thrones is my shit. Like every year I rewatch the entire show, all fucking, 8 seasons, the whole thing. I rewatch the whole thing every year.
Damn,
And
I thought I was bad with Star Trek. Man,
yeah, like that. Like, this is my favorite shit. Like, so spin-offs, bro, are like peak, but they're they're different. It's different. Like watching House of the Dragon's cool and everything, but the beginning of this episode, coming back to Westeros, back to Winterfell, right? Back to the home of the Starks, back to the Wall. The whole season or the whole series of Game of Thrones took place. These are like staples from that series, so very nostalgic. Great, intro, and this is 200 years before Game of Thrones events, right? Before the shit that goes down. This is 200 years before that, where we start in the beginning of this episode. And rather gently at first with our first glimpse of Winterfell and the North. Since the final season of Game of Thrones, it feels like a little bit like coming home. It does. It really
mm,
feels like coming home, like seeing family
mm,
again, like that type of vibe, bro. And certainly the Starks of Winterfell, are much the same as Ned and his brood. Even 200 years previous, they were that type of people. They were just who they were. And here we see the elder Valerian's son, the uh the uh the prince Jace. Well, the brother of the kid who was killed in the last season, joining Lord Cregan Stark. All right, Lord Cregan Stark, an ancestor of Ned and Jon Snow and all them guys. Well, not Jon Snow actually. Jon Snow's a Targaryen, but okay, Rob, I digress. On Chile, they're out there taking a walk right on the wall, right? Stark is telling the young man that he's loyal to Rhaenyra, right? The main character, but cannot spare his soldiers so close to winter, which he reminds us is coming, right? Everyone knows winter is coming. That's the
mm,
saying. That's what the Starks always say. So it's funny. So he's like, yeah, winter's coming, need the soldiers. Jace, the prince, he kind of scoffs at Stark defending the North from wildlings and the weather. He's like, "What do you need your guys up here for that bad? Like, there's nothing really going on up here. You got some wildlings running around with old, rusty weapons, and the snow. Like, what else you deal with up here?"
mm.
And Stark, every bit as dour as one would hope from a northern lord, tells him it's not just these threats that they and the Night's Watch defend against in the wall. And what then? Jace asks. Death, he replies. Uh, they never changed the Starks of Winterfell. Very, very, very dour. But he's literally being truthful. I mean, they do guard the realms against death, against the the um the uh the Night King and his ilk. And it's actually a little funny
Yeah,
how
I was gonna ask you about the Night King.
yeah, well he's from Game of Thrones. He's there's a lot like I said, it's a lot of lore, but it's funny how little anything has changed in Westeros. Really, when you think about it, in 200 years, the Starks will be masters of Winterfell, and the Lannisters will still be the wealthy lords of Casterly Rock. The Targaryens will still be as white-haired and uh, running shit as ever. And the same armaments will be used. Technology hasn't really changed at all over the centuries. It's really the same world. It gives a little bit of a vibe in House of the Dragon. Um, of like it's a little bit more authentic medieval than Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is a little bit more fantasy, not really authentic medieval. House of the Dragon still very fantasy, still very not authentic medieval, but much more authentic medieval stuff going on in House of the Dragon, like the joust, the tourneys, stuff like that. The way that they dress, the way that the crowns and the castles and shit looks. Some of that it's a little bit more old fashioned than Game of Thrones was in that era, because Game of Thrones is really kind of supposed to be in that world our time, if that makes sense. So like there's a spin-off that they're talking about that we'll talk about in a minute called 10,000 Ships that takes place a millennia before Game of Thrones. And shit isn't that
Mm,
different, right? It's still they're still running around on dragons in ships and doing what they do. Um there's a lot more of everything, 300 dragons and 10,000 ships the main character has to put together. But 2 centuries, even in a fantasy version of medieval times, should result in vast change and growth and technological advancements and this and that. If it was real world human history, great houses fall, new institutions are born, shit changes definitely in that amount of time. War and technological advancement and the ending of bloodlines and any other innumerable factors, right, that reshape society over such long stretches of times. But in Westeros, the only thing that really changes is that Rhaenyra's day there, where Rhaenyra's day, there's dragons, you know, much more, like in the psyche or in the minds of people as being a real thing, even if they don't see them every day. It's just well known that there's dragons. In Game of Thrones, dragons are thought of as as mythology, almost like, um, you know, as if kind of how like dinosaurs in a way, but like some people don't even believe they ever existed, type shit. Um,
damn, dinosaurs?
well, they had skulls of dragons in Game of Thrones. That's it. And then
Mm,
but some people who have never seen them skulls, obviously there's no internet,
oh, they
there's
don't
no
believe it.
I don't believe it ever
Right,
existed because they haven't seen dragons in hundreds of years. But in this,
right.
in House of the Dragon, there's a bunch of dragons running around. So in Game of Thrones, yes, there are dragons, but it's in a time when that's crazy as fuck to people. So when Daenerys's 3 dragons are born, it's like magic. It's crazy. Everyone in the world knows about it. It's insane. People are tripping over it. It's just nuts. Because like I said, some people don't even believe dragons existed, let alone has anyone ever seen one. And so in Game of Thrones, so it's like a big deal that those dragons even exist in Game of Thrones. In this show, in House of the Dragon, dragons are just like the horses that the royal family ride. They're
Mm,
pretty common. The royal family is the only one that rides them, but they're common enough. You know, the ships are still the same. The scorpions, those giant ballista, giant crossbow shooting giant things they shoot the dragons with, those are still the way they guard the walls of King's Landing. I mean, they still it's but you know, I digress. It's something I suspect very few people care about. This is really not, it's not something that diminishes my enjoyment of the show in the least. I find myself wondering about it, possibly because I have before as a fantasy fan, having read histories and shit like that, other dynasties, other eras. But in any case, Cregan Stark is our first new major character added to season 2, but not the only one. We also have Aelin of Hull, played by Akabar Salim. We are introduced to Aelin of Hull through as he works to repair the ship of Lord Corlys Valerion, right? Played by Steve
Yeah.
Toussaint. He's one of the black dudes with the long white dreads. He's the main guy. He's the top dude, right? He's the master of all the ships, and he's like a king in his world, in his land. And I'm very happy to see Salim in this series. He was great in Raised by Wolves and other shit. But because of on top of being a terrific actor, he's got a dope voice, but I won't spoil
Yeah,
who
he do.
exactly Aelin of Hall is. But yeah, but he is such a significant character. Um, why he is and all of that, but maybe you can guess, by the reaction that the sea snake seems to have when speaking to him. Lord
Right now,
Corliss,
wait, whoa,
dude with
whoa.
the
That,
long
that's
dreads,
that's what I.
he's
All right, hold
named the
on.
sea
We gotta do.
snake.
Oh, we gotta do a sidebar. That's what I meant to talk. That's what I meant to ask.
Mm.
All right. Now they ride the sea snakes. Am I correct?
Nah, sea snake is what they call the guy that I'm talking about, Lord Corliss. They call him the sea snake. He's just a guy. He's
Because
like
they had
he's
these.
a captain of ships.
So who? All right. So what are the things that's in that? All right. It was something I read about something in the water. Something that they use in the water. I can't remember the name of it. I gotta punch the book up.
I
It
don't
was
know.
something about it was something about they use in the water, like some type of creature they can use in the waters to
Are you
protect
talking
their
about
lands or something like that.
in the Kraken Game of Thrones? They have the Krakens. So Game of Thrones, there's a house called well they're on the Iron Island, the Greyjoys, and the Greyjoys, their sigil is a kraken, like a giant squid. We never see one. They never talk about it being real or anything, but I don't know if that's what you mean. I can't think of anything in this show that they ride or do in the water, other than the
Man, I gotta look
ships.
in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know if you find it.
See.
But Aelin has a brother named Adam, and those two names are very similar. Aelin and Adam. Um, they're not so challenging as Eric and Eric. As from the first season, there was a guy named Eric and a guy named Eric. The only difference was one was spelled with an E, one was spelled with an A, and they are twins. So, but they're Kingsguard. But now they're separated by their different allegiances: Team Black and Team Green. Right? Team Black is Rhaenyra. Team Green is Alicent and Aegon. So it's probably not lost on anyone that this season premiere is designed to challenge our sense of which side ought to be the good guys and which is the bad guys. Which I always thought of Rhaenyra as the good guys and Aegon as the bad guys, but only loosely. But they're really neither one is good or bad. They both are crazy, have very honorable and brave knights and ladies, and both have very vengeful and wicked and violent knights and ladies, right? They both have good and evil on their sides, and advisors and dragons. Unlike Game of Thrones, where there's plenty of gray characters, but also plenty of heroes and plenty of villainous ones. House of the Dragon is far less cut and dry. It's far more, I'd say, realistic in that regard because people are not good or evil. They've got, you know, shit they do. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're evil. And in Sunday's episode here, we see Aegon, the king, holding court for the small folk, and much like his father, trying to do his best to treat them well and with honor and generosity. And because that's how he saw his father do. I mean, his father was a great king, well, not a great king at all, but a very good. He was good to the people. He was very good to the small folk, and ironically, living up to his magnanimous title that a friend bestowed upon him as they were walking in, uh, he's sort of reined in by his hand. The Otto Hightower, who's over scheming but it's kind of hard to see the good in him,
Hmm.
even if during the small council he clearly has uh not much taste for governance and would rather just spoil his son Jaehaerys. But and then there's the horrific scene that closes the episode, in which Daemon employs two vagabonds to sneak into the Red Keep and kill Aemond, the guy with the patch that killed the other guy with the dragon, killed the kid. And these
Now
men are
wasn't he killed right? Now wasn't he supposed to have fell off his dragon or something like that? Or was it the no?
no, the guy with the
Somebody
patch,
who fell
the
off
guy
the
with
guy with the patch was he killed
the
the
guy
little
with
boy in the last
yeah, the guy with the patch was on a dragon, and the other boy was on his dragon, and they were flying around, and uh
dragon ate the boy.
the dragon ate the boy, even though the guy with the eye patch was like, "No," to the dragon. The dragon's just a
Yeah.
big ass, old ass dragon. He does what the fuck he wants. And this
Once
little
right.
dragon, the little guy was pissing him off, and he's like, "You know what, motherfucker?" Ha! Just bit him in half, basically, and killed the little boy, and fell to his death. The little boy was Rhaenyra's son, and the guy with the eye patch, that's the other team's son. So like this team's guy killed this team's guy, and so the team with the boy that got killed, he sends two guys to kill the guy with the eye patch, who is the son of the queen in them. These guys are called Blood and Cheese. These disgraced city guardsmen that he employs. That's who they're in the book. There's Blood and Cheese. They're rat catchers. Um,
Mm,
at this time. And in the book Fire and Blood, which the show is based on, the story of these men and their brutal murder of Aegon's son was told by the court jester Mushroom, like most of the book is. And
so
some of the more
that
colorful
was
lines
it's
in the
that blood
show
and
are
cheese.
are plucked directly from Mushroom's mouth. Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
blood and cheese. And in
Yeah,
the
now what was
book,
the now what was the murder? That's another question. Like I know I'm being annoying, man, but I
nah,
got questions, dog. I got questions.
yeah,
All right.
that's how we do.
All right, blood and cheese tells of those two murdering somebody, and they said the murder was really brutal, and they like conspired to do it. But the
Mhm.
dude that's the rat catcher, he has a lot of access around that castle.
Yeah,
Like in those times, that's that's
yeah, he
well
could go
medieval
anywhere.
times, right? It was very 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 rare for one person to have that much access around the whole castle that can
Mm,
go anywhere they want and know all the secrets because no one would ever knew. Now, what is up
yeah.
with that, man? What is up with the blood? Why did they murder? What was like break
Well,
that down for me. Break that down.
so so So, like I said, they were hired to go in there and kill the dude with the patch eye,
Right.
and they know that the guy with the patch eye is a prince. He's a prince, right? So they go in there to find him, but they're not really clear who their target is. They know they're there to kill Aemond, and they know that he's son of the king. Um, Maybe Aegon himself, but he was too heavily guarded for these two scoundrels to kill the king himself. But and this scene compared to the book, it plays out differently here. In the same spirit, but in the book, Blood and Cheese find Alicent, the queen, and tie her up, the queen mother, and tie her up, gagging her, killing her guard, and then they wait until Helena arrives with her 3 children, including the 2-year-old Maelor, and then they give her a choice between the 2 boys. They say, "Pick, or we'll kill them all." And she picks Maelor, and Cheese turns to the toddler and says, "You hear that, little boy? Your mama wants you dead." And the boy cuts off, or then Blood cuts off Jaehaerys' head with one swipe, and they flee with the head and leave everyone else alive. Here, because it's TV and HBO, and that means we need gratuitous sex. Helena is the only adult person present, and she flees to her mother's chambers where Alicent is having sex with the execrable Sir Kristen Cole, and saying only they killed the boy. So, but what happens is they go in to kill the guy with the eye patch, and instead they can't find him. They find the queen, and the queen is there, and she's in the bedroom with her two kids. They're two twins. One's a girl and one's a boy. So they catch the queen. They hold her up and they say, uh, or they're talking to each other, and they're like, he wants us to kill one of the sons, right? Like, well, this is the son of the king, so let's get it. Like, let's kill one of these. And he's like, well, they look the same because they're fucking twins. And he's like, which one's the boy? He's like, I don't know, look for a cock. And the guy with the knife tells the queen, tell us which one's the boy.
Mm.
And she's like, I guess out of shock, and she just like points at the boy. And because he's like, tell us which one's the boy, I'm gonna kill both of them and you. And so she points at the boy, and cheese is like, or blood is like, nah, she's not gonna just tell us which one's really the heir of the king. It's probably the other one. And the other guy with the knife, he looks at her and he can tell that she's hoping that that's what they'll think. And he's like, nah, she told it true. And so they go over to the boy, and they don't show it. She grabs the daughter, the girl, and runs, starts to kind of creep out of the room. And you hear the sound very loud and clear of them sawing the baby boy's head off. You can hear the sawing. You can hear
Mm.
the the sound is very, very, very graphic sound effect. They don't show anything, and it's just quiet, and it's very spooky and very creepy, and there's no one else, and she's not saying anything, and she's running, and I guess she doesn't yell out because he doesn't want to attract them to come and kill her and the other baby that she's holding. So I guess that's why she's silently running. I don't know why she wasn't screaming, but it's probably why she runs off and goes to and finds Alicent in the midst of having sex, and it's like they killed the boy, and Allison's horrified face is the last thing we see before the credits roll. And this show is very bleak, but no more so than George R. R. Martin's source material.
Yeah.
And you know, all told, a terrific, if very somber and disturbing season premiere. I did not find it too slow at all. I've been rewatching Game of Thrones as always, and I think there's a bit of adjustment you have to make between the two shows. Despite the shared
There
setting
is.
and
There
similar
is.
music and aesthetic, Thrones, for all the horrors that befall our favorite characters, is still heroic fantasy at its core. House of the Dragon is not heroic fantasy. House of the Dragon is much more grimdark. It's more of a civil war within a family where no sides come out clean. There's no heroes. There's no good and bad guys. It's just a family feud, really, and you're dealing with just real people within this sort of within the castle. Maybe it's why there's not a lot of locations in this show, because it mostly takes place inside one of two castles. And yeah, there's some great scenes outside and stuff like that, but yeah, for the most part, it's just the story of this family who's at each
The
trying to kill
Targaryens.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And
Targaryens.
the Targaryen Civil War. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a civil war coming, and it's the telling of that story and the king's children and their battle for control of the Iron Throne. That's basically what it is. A couple people died on that throne. I didn't know that that there were prophecies that you would die on the throne. And certain people died on the throne. That there were prophecies. Reading the book, they were
Mm.
talking about somebody who got cut repeatedly on the throne and it poisoned him. The
Oh,
cuts.
the
I guess he got tinnitus. Yeah,
yeah,
whatever he got, but he died.
that's the king
From
that
the
from
cuts.
season one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they yeah. But I'm with Reno on that one. House of the Dragon. It definitely for
Oh shit.
episode one of a series. It didn't bore me at all. Like I
Yeah.
was, and I hate episode ones of any series except for Star Trek. But we're not gonna go there. But
Yeah.
they just don't do it for me. Can I watch them? Yes. Do I be like fiending for episode two? Absolutely, because I want to get episode one over with. But this episode one blew me away. This
Oh
first
yeah.
one I can say that about, and I can honestly say that if if you like Game of Thrones and you like the books, I would listen. This is a great adaptation of the books because it follows it so closely.
Yeah. Yeah,
Raw
definitely.
talk, peace.
Raw
Peace,
talk,
peace.
what up?
What's up with y'all? How's everything?
All right,
Everything's
all
good,
right.
man. Everything's good.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get down too much with the House of Dragon stuff. Like, I always liked. I mean, that's fantasy. That's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I seen some bits and pieces here and there. But my thing was always the Vikings. So they
Oh
came out
yeah.
around the same time. So I had to pick and choose at the time. So I went with the
Mm.
Vikings. You know.
Mm.
So
Mm. Yeah, I watched
Mm.
both, of course, but yeah, I'm there. I mean, they're two different. I mean,
yeah.
two different categories for sure.
Reno's a
But this
Targaryen. Reno's a Targaryen. He gonna
what's
watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
illustrating.
Like
yeah. I'm a
like if I
Stark
had to pick
actually. I'm a
between
Stark actually. Yeah, I'm a
yeah,
Stark for sure.
if I had to pick between Star Trek and some other series that I'm watch Star Trek. I'm sorry.
Mm,
It gotta come from
I
me. I
dig
Mm.
gotta
it.
watch
I
Star
dig
Trek.
it.
Yeah,
But I mean,
everybody
the
got
House
their
of
jump.
Dragon. I mean, I'll try to peep it out and see what it's about. But
Well,
I mean,
it's
Raw talk, it was good. Raw talk is good.
no,
You
I'm
know the
not saying
good
it's
thing.
not good.
House
I'm
of the
not
Dragon.
never saying it's not good.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
because the fan
yeah.
base is roaring. I mean, I can understand if it
Yeah.
was the Acolyte and
One
everybody's trying to.
the one thing I can say about it, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones
Yeah, I might have to
and
watch it. I
you
might have
watch
to
House of
watch
the
it in its
Dragon,
entirety.
yeah, House of the Dragon is before Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like if you watch House of the Dragon and then you go watch Game of Thrones, you can watch it in that order, I guess.
And wasn't
You
there
But
another part to it on what was it on what you call it, Amazon Prime? Didn't they have something on Prime as well?
there's a
Lord of the
spin-off.
Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings had a Prime show. There hasn't been a
Okay.
show on Prime yet, but there is another spin-off coming that we're gonna talk about today as well.
Yeah,
For sure. But
yeah.
after watching the first, episode of season two, a lot of the problems of the first season, I think, are they've fixed. And over the past 2 weeks, I've kind of been, brushing up, re-entering on everything there is to know about House of the Dragon and the Fire and Blood novel, and to get it back into my brain, and basically, I'm like a walking encyclopedia of a fictional fantasy realm, and its sibling marrying, dragon riding royal family. And with season two's big premiere finally here, I can say without a shed of regret that it was completely
I'm,
worth it. I mean, knowing all the
I'm glad
lore,
you
like,
are,
it
'cause
makes it so
I'm glad you
rich,
are, 'cause I got questions. I got
man.
questions.
Yes, and this season is going to contain all the answers and some of the most shocking events that you've ever seen on television. If the book is if and they have been going by the book, so and we're talking about Game of Thrones verse, you know what I mean? So again, you guys really aren't really versed in Game of Thrones. Game
Mm.
of Thrones is one of the most like shocking. uh that was kind of like the shock value is what hooked me at first, because the first season, like, I'm sitting here watching it, and this character, I don't even want to tell you, but it's kind of like, at this point everybody knows, so I'm not really spoiling anything. But the show is all about, you think there's like a main character that they're safe because they're the main character. They
Mm.
will kill that
No,
motherfucker
no,
without
no.
hesitation.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
that
that's
is true.
dope. I mean, that's really dope that a
I'm
series can
like, yeah, bro.
expose.
The whole first season, they've got this one main dude. He's one of my favorite actors. I'm like, he's one of the best characters, and and they just kill him at the end, and then it starts, and then there's another character, and it's kind of like, okay, well, this is the guy that's taking over. He's taking place. Oh, I see. Okay, they killed him to kind of make place, to make way for this character. Okay, so he's the guy, and we're watching. They killed this motherfucker, and I'm like, what the fuck? So then they give us another guy, and it's on and on, man. And you just
Yeah.
they set the tone that no one is
Yeah,
safe,
remember,
basically.
remember there at the meeting. Remember at the meeting, and the one dude, I forget his name. He pushed the dude head down on the table and killed him. But it was like accident. He didn't mean it. Like he was
Yeah,
like, "Be quiet," and pushed his head,
yeah,
and he killed the Joker right there in the meet.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, "Damn." Yeah, he didn't mean to
Yeah,
do it, but the
yeah,
way he did it, and, back then tables was made out of stone if he was
yeah,
rich. So,
yeah,
and he did the
Damn.
joke and he killed the joke. Tell
yeah.
us about the high towers, man. Tell us about the high towers.
Oh, the high towers. Well, that the one of the main what do you call it? The hand of the king. So he's like the main advisor to the king. And in some situations, even was really had more power than the king because he's the one that's really making all the calling all the shots and shit. And there's a high tower guy right now. He's a high tower, and he is the hand of the king. So he's the one that's kind of got the ear of the king, and can really kind of manipulate him and do whatever. And so it's a dope character. And I like the actor that plays him. I think he's on that. Let me see if he's up on that thing, if he's on this.
So he's the
So
Reese,
yeah, Reese
what's his
Ethan.
name? Reese. Yeah,
Yeah,
Reese
he's like
Ephens. Yeah.
third from the right. He's got a beard. He's got blonde hair and a beard. He's third from the right.
hmm
And the character above him says Otto Hightower. Yeah, that's and Alicent, the queen. If you go all the way third from the left end,
Olivia Cook.
Olivia Cook, right above her, that's his daughter.
Mm.
And yeah, but between the first and final episodes of House of Dragon season 1, 2 decades pass. It's a 20-year span. Season 1 is a 20-year span. You the first, the characters age, like the actors rather. First there's kids playing the actors, like halfway through the season they replace them with adult actors. Like a big time jump goes on, and the years are ticked off by discombobulating cast changes, and the show just wearing out Viserys's mortal coil until the king drops dead, uh somehow, still suddenly. And if you can believe it, we watched that happen 20 human months ago.
Hmm.
Between then and the premiere of
Mhm.
season 2, it's been 2 years, and 5 Westeros minutes appear to have elapsed. But in the in the season 1 finale, right? Aemon, the one-eye guy with the patch, he uh, strikes his own nephew from the sky,
Hmm.
with his dragon eating him, and killing his dragon and knocking him out of the sky. And then in the season 2 premiere, it seems that Lucerys Valerion's body has just hit the churning waters of Shipbreaker Bay, and what was once the story of House Targaryen evolving into enemies over a generation is now a show about who these people are in this one turbulent moment. Aegon versus Rhaenyra, right? Green versus black, dragon versus dragon. But in a table setting move that signals an expansion of the storytelling field, the new season opens neither in King's Landing nor Dragonstone. We actually get a super, like, just cheery moment, man. I don't know. It just like filled me with like fucking just happiness, bro, to see Westeros again, and Winterfell and all of that. So basically, they go back to locations from Game of Thrones, and it's just a nice callback, bro. It's just a nice fucking treat. But yeah, man. House of the Dragon is a very intentional series, but generally not a subtle one. If a character that we've barely seen is subtly being mentioned conspicuously by name, right? Like Alan, then we should probably pay attention. If someone who has hardly spoken a line, like Aegon's sister wife, Helena, is allowed the screen time to voice a concern, it demands to be heeded. Viserys took 20 years to die. Yes, but most dragon subplots resolve themselves in the same episode that they're introduced in. So if, someone like Helena is afraid of rats,
Hmm.
she says, you have to pay attention to these things. She tells him, I'm worried about rats. I'm not worried about I'm worried about the rats. And everybody thought she's crazy. What does she mean? She is kind of touched, but she seems to have a little like premonition power. So when she says that she's worried about the rats. We find out that later it's because the rat catchers kill her son in front of her.
Mm.
And once she utters the word rats, the idea is everywhere, right? There are the literal rats scurrying down the castle halls, and the rats employed by Otto Hightower to spy on his own daughter, human
Mm.
rats. And then there's the literal rat catchers setting the traps in the Red Keep, and the ambitious men like Lara Strong, the guy with the foot fetish that you were talking about, Stu, uh, who exterminates Otto's human rats only to replace them with his own spies. And, at times, Alicent is much a pawn, of as Aegon is the king himself. And when she finally appears, the main character uh Rhaenyra's jilted lover, Sir Criston, is eating her out. And we come upon that scene, and though they both should be at Aegon's small council meeting, but they're having a little fucking what do you call it, afternoon delight instead. And Otto Hightower notices them enter together, but the indiscretion is upstaged by Aegon arriving with his little son in tow, kind of like take your heir to work day. And the ratio of chat to dragons is less than ideal in this show, but in this episode. But you know, there's some important scorekeeping presented at the small council, right? The Starks and the Vale still haven't declared for Aegon II, nor will they.
Mm.
We know that they never do declare. They don't bend the knee. House Baratheon is Team Green, thanks to the marriage pact Aemon brokered last season. In the Westerlands, Golden Tooth is expected to declare for Aegon the Magnanimous, one of several Man of the People monikers. His team is, trial ballooning. And more High Towers. The High Towers are marching south from Old Town. Alicent is not usually stupid, but she's very naive and hopeful that Rhaenyra might accept Aegon's terms for surrendering the throne. You just killed her fucking son, bro. She's gonna kill you. Um, Otto, her father, is more sensible. He kind of gets shit, and he understands that war is just the only option. It's just where this is going. There's no way around it. And they need supplies for that, right? They need supplies, and supplies require Aegon to break Rhaenyra's blockade, which requires a navy. And maybe the Greyjoys could be enticed to chamber aboard Team Green if Master of Ships, right? If they name him Master of Ships, that's all he's gonna have to do. Like they'll probably get the Greyjoys. House Tully also has yet to declare. Um, Harrenhal will absolutely feature prominently in the Civil War to come, because neither Damon nor Aemond, which I just noticed is an anagram of Damon. Aemon and Damon are anagram, is going to stop blathering about gaining a toehold in the Riverlands. So what's Aegon like as a king? Um, he's kind of a mixed bag. He attempts to humiliate Tywin Lannister by making him piggyback give him a son a pony ride during the small council meeting. And on the other hand, everyone hates Lannister, so it's not really that big a deal. Perplexingly, Aegon believes that the Greens can win this war, the Dance of Dragons, with just dragons alone, despite the other side having more dragons. He feels that he's got bigger dragons, and he's lacking in strategic foresight, or at least is just bad at dragon math. But Aegon, keeps Aemon pretty close, which is shrewd. And war may not be his specialty, but he does demonstrate interest in the socio-political side of ruling. He does, he wants to address the difficulties of the small folk when they come to him and they're like, "Yo, I have this issue, I have that issue." He's like, "Oh, well, we can help you with that," and he wants to help. And his advisor, the Hightower dude, he's like, "Oh, we can't do that. If you do that for him, then all the farmers are going to come up wanting, free goats, and you know can't do it. So, but we see that he's like a good guy under it all. Like he wants to be a good guy, and even though he's like completely like just like immature, he's just like completely egotistical, no wisdom at all. Just a total douche. But he's got a good heart, and that's it's commendable for a king, for a Targaryen, let's say, because they're pretty much have a reputation of being pretty hard.
Mhm.
Um, you know, but yeah, I mean, all in all, it's a phenomenal series. I think it's the best series going right now. Um, but yeah, there's no comparison between that and Acolyte, but we're gonna compare them anyway because it's fun. But before we do, I know there's a lot of spin-offs and shit, and there's been a few canceled and a few brought back to life for Game of Thrones. Um the yeah, bro. George R. R. Martin has confirmed another spin-off series, and this series will revive a story that was previously canceled. They were gonna do it, and then they canceled it. Now it's back, and they're bringing it to life on screen. And while a lot of the Game of Thrones spin-offs, have people have been excited about, some have been canceled. Two of the planned spin-offs, the Jon Snow prequel, which I was really excited about, canceled.
Damn.
But there's still hope that some of them may still get produced. But Game of Thrones, the saga will definitely continue in one way or another. And right now, this show they're talking about is previously it's called it was previously canceled. Now they're doing it again. It's called 10,000 Ships. And George R. R. Martin, the mastermind behind the epic, fantasy world, took to his website to share the exciting news. And in his announcement, he not only congratulated Ebony Booth, who is an esteemed playwright who got the Pulitzer Prize for her play, is the writer is going to be the writer for the new series, and he was congratulating her in his on his website. The post exuded genuine appreciation and admiration for this person's talents, emphasizing the creative synergy between her and HBO on this ambitious undertaking. And while HBO itself has yet to officially weigh in on this announcement, the fact that the series creator himself has taken, the reins to unveil this development, I think speaks volumes. And with Martin's resounding endorsement, it's likely only a matter of time before this, eagerly anticipated project receives the green light that it deserves, that we all are hoping for. And this writer, Booth, uh, talents extend beyond her acclaimed work as a writer and creator. She's also has contributions to the series We Were the Lucky Ones, and her experience as an actress. And so her appointment as the writer for this spinoff underscores her skill and versatility. But um, the anticipation for this new series peaked when 10,000 Ships was initially announced back in 2021, only later to be shelved by HBO, leaving many fans disheartened. But now Martin's assurance that the entire team is fully committed to the project, I think, gave it, some fresh enthusiasm to the fan base. But um 10,000 Ships, it's set a millennium before the original Game of Thrones series. And it was initially deemed too distant from the established franchise, is what they figured. Nah, it's just too far from the Game of Thrones era. A millennium, that's what, 1,000 years. That's
Mhm.
that's like the difference in our times and biblical times, right? So quite a different. But we just talked about earlier how Game of Thrones, how this world, how this universe doesn't seem to age much throughout its ages.
Yeah.
um right, there's these, this took place, 150 years before Game of Thrones, this show, The House of the Dragon. And not much has changed. There's not they still have the same pretty much technology and what there is of it, and not much different. And these other fantasy or these other distant eras or ages in Martin's work, in George Martin's work, are not very different from each other. So this thing being a millennium early, it really doesn't matter. I think he just does that so he has time to tell a bunch of stories within it. It doesn't really reflect on the, like I said, socio whatever, and civilization and fucking um technology.
Hmm.
But yeah, 10,000 ships, it's a millennium before Game of Thrones. Um the series is focusing on a queen named Nymeria, who is like a warrior queen, and she's an ancestor, Stu, of House Martell. Now,
Mm.
if you knew Game of Thrones, the Martells are the dudes that live down in Dorne. They would be the equivalent to probably like the Latino people in that universe. And their kind of land is I don't know if it'd be Latino or maybe Arabic, but that's kind of who they are. Um maybe more Arabic, but um they were refugees. They left their original land and came to Dorne as refugees following their defeat by the Valyrian Freehold in the Second Spice War. The narrative was intended to trace her journey from Essos to Dorne, where the people, sort of had this exodus, right? Like a biblical exodus from their land to Dorne, where we know them
Mhm.
to live in Game of Thrones. And, where her people, sought sanctuary after their homeland was ravaged and destroyed, and leading to the title's reference to their nomadic life on the water. 10,000 ships. They live on this giant raft city, right, on the ocean. It's like a big raft almost, made out of like 10,000 ships. That's what I'm thinking. Because the original concept, obviously comes from the biblical narratives, like the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, and Nymeria and her followers embarking on a quest for a new homeland, and, navigating a fictionalized Mediterranean under her leadership. And their existence was characterized by the nomadic sort of lifestyle that they had created, dwelling on their raft city and venturing ashore as needed. And while the previous iteration of the series was shelved, it's not entirely abandoned. Brian Helgeland was a writer that was previously associated with the project, revealed in a recent interview that while disappointed by its cancellation, the concept still holds promise and may yet resurface. And he's right. As speculation brews about the revived pilot, it remains to be seen if it will retain the original premise or be completely changed, but it will be happening.
Hmm.
Thank you. And that's going to be dope. So, but that's a little less developed than the spin-off that I'm most excited about, because I actually read the book already. It's called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It's a first look. It's a hold on. Oh, oh, yes, sir. All right.
Mhm.
All right. The Hedge Knight.
The Hedge Knight.
The Hedge Knight. And the Hedge Knight 2 Sworn Sword, about Duncan Egg, Sir Duncan the Tall, and Aegon. And this is a graphic novel version. Um,
Mm.
hold on. Ah. Mad shit in here. The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is the book that the show is going to be based on. Sorry, this is just the graphic novel version of it. They called The Hedge Knight. But this is the book. They're doing the show. It's called yes, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's about Sir Duncan the Tall and Aegon. These guys. This kid and this tall knight, the Hedge Knight. And he's a dope knight. Dope character. And we've got some images actually from them actually filming it right now. There's an image of Peter Claffey as Sir Duncan the Tall in the series. It's a photo as the show begins to shoot its debut season in Belfast, Ireland. And the move returns the franchise to the same production hub as Game of Thrones, same, where they filmed it. While the franchise's other prequel series, House of the Dragon, is shot outside of London for its first 2 seasons. So this is a little bit more close to home in that regard, but it's I'm happy about the image, bro. It looks like Sir Duncan. Like, I'm like, okay, I recognize that dude. That looks like Sir Duncan the Tall. That's what I'm talking about right now. All right, let me get this. Trying to get y'all a photo.
Yeah.
Sir Duncan the Tall. But yeah, he's a beast, bro. He be fucking shit up. And wait, where'd it go? Oh shit. I thought it.
Sir Duncan the Tall.
What the fuck? Bitch. It is.
He said, bitch.
It's fucking there. It's fucking in the folder. Why is it not showing up when I put? Okay, wait a minute. There it is. All right. Sorry, it was in the damn Acolyte folder. There we go. Sir Duncan, there he is. Oh, that's 10,000 ships is, yeah, Westeros way before. It might be, before the wall. I don't know. Yeah, because I think the wall, what, 800 years, something like that. So it might be. I think so. But yeah, Duncan, Sir Duncan there. From the seven Knight of the Seven, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Really dope book. Really good fucking graphic novel as well. Really excited that they're doing the spin-off, or they're doing an adaptation. And the project has added several new actors. Let me see if there's any that we know. No, we don't know any of the new actors, but the show's official description is a century before the events of Game of Thrones. This is a prequel to Game of Thrones, but it's not as far back as House of the Dragon. So it's just a century before. I think House of the Dragon is like 180 years or something like that. So this is maybe 100 years closer to Game of Thrones. And it says, a century before the events of Game of Thrones, 2 unlikely heroes wandered Westeros: a young, naive, courageous knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, and his diminutive squire, Egg, who is short for Aegon. Set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne, and the memory of the last dragon has not yet passed from living memory. Great destinies, powerful foes, and dangerous exploits all await these improbable and incomparable friends. Yeah, so in this time, in the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, in Duncan's time, there are still people alive, like really old people who remember who have seen a dragon, right? There's none in existence right now, but it's not gone from like living memory at this point. By the time we get to Game of Thrones, there's no one alive that's ever seen a dragon, and there's no one alive that knows anyone that's, you know what I mean, like that knew anyone. So it's really far, but you know, that's pretty much all that changes in these centuries. In these shows, they don't. George R. R. Martin does not change a lot. They don't do a lot of fucking evolution.
Hmm.
What you reading, Stu?
Game of Thrones. A little bit here and there.
He's that
A
young
little bit here and there.
right now.
It's a lot to soak in, man. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's interesting, man, and it keeps you. I mean, I like fantasy lore like that, like Dungeons and Dragons or medieval type of thing. But I like when it's well written because I watched a lot of stuff that I was like, but this right here, this is on the Lord of the Rings level. Where you can,
Oh yeah.
where you can get
Oh yeah.
into it, like you can get lost in the lore. I mean, like you can get who published those Game of Thrones comics.
So there's a few. I've got a couple of hardcover ones as well. Let me show you those.
Cool.
There's four of these. I got four of these that there's like they're all there's a gold one, a red one, blue one, and a green one here. But they all look the same, so I'm not gonna grab them all down. They all look just like this. They just are like this one's green, the other ones are blue or red or whatever. The characters are drawn from the descriptions that George R. R. Martin gives in his books, right? So if you watch the show Game of Thrones, you will not know what the characters look like in the books.
Mm.
If you read this graphic novel, you will know just what the characters were supposed to look like from the books. So it's very accurate to the books. To answer your question, though, who produced them, published them, Marvel did actually one of those ones, but these Bantam Books, like Random House type shit, like not even no like comic fucking company, but the Dunkin' Egg joints, Jet City Comics made this one, and Marvel did this one.
Interesting.
It is interesting because this is a sequel to this one. So it's like what happened was Jet City Comics made this, and then Game of Thrones blew up and became insane, and so Marvel was like, "We want to do the sequel."
Mm.
Because we'll pay for that.
Right.
Trying to get money anywhere we can.
And they did not improve on anything, like as far as like the art or anything. They just sort of continued the same.
Just put their label on it.
Yep.
Yep.
Man. Actually, actually, the art was way better in the Jet City one.
Mm.
That's fucking sad, bro. It pisses me off when Marvel does this shit. I'll show you. I really hate when they do these. This art.
Mm.
I don't like this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Super like computer, like just real basic, real
Yeah, man. I
I
hate
don't
the waxy fucking.
yeah. They got no fucking detail, nothing.
I'm a vintage snob.
And this one, it's
I'm
not
vintage shit heavy.
yeah. I'm right, me too. And this one, it's not fucking, crazy pencil crazy art, but it's definitely way better than that. you're not seeing shit like this in the Marvel one. But yeah, you can get them. I'm sure you can find them on eBay. They're not super. I don't think they're super rare or anything. Um, so we saw the Acolyte. Sadly, we saw the Acolyte season 4. We suffered through it. We now to compare it to House of the Dragon is kind of ridiculous. We're not even, there's no reason to even do anything that silly. But we know, I think we've beaten the dead horse that it's not a good show. We don't like the show. We know we don't like the show. Um, we know that. We know that you know it's feminism heavy. We know all these things. We don't have
Yes.
to keep rehashing that. We know it. No need to keep talking about that. But to sort of like go specifically into the show itself,
Hmm.
you know, Leslie Headland, the producer, the creator, the writer of the show, she she gave us this she positioned the show as if it was going to be a mystery, a murder mystery. It's the worst fucking mystery I've ever seen. There's
I
no
mean, it
mystery
started out
to it.
like that. Yeah, it started out like the first episode or two, and then we figured out who the murderer was. And I guess that wasn't supposed to be who the murderer is after watching the last episode.
Hmm.
I don't.
I think the mystery is where the fuck do they find these writers?
Well,
Yeah.
that's definitely a mystery for sure. That's a question I fucking have. But they position this mystery about like who is the mysterious Sith? Who is this Sith,
Right.
right?
That's
Hmm.
First
true.
of all, I
Because
don't
that's what it
think
seems like.
well yeah, but that's what that's the mystery, but the thing is like it's so obvious. It's either one of two. It's one of two. Period. Point blank. It's one of two. I'm calling it right now. Okay. It is either the Night Witch, the one of the moms that created Osha and May. That's no brainer. Or it's the what's his name? What's his name? Queermere. He's the
Queer
I swear to God, that's his name. Queermere.
mirror. He's a
Queer.
mere queer.
Yeah,
Oh
Queermere
shit.
is Queermere is the one that's accompanying the
Yeah.
May. She's running around. He's like this kooky guy, whatever.
Oh
And I
yeah, I
think
never. Well, I didn't think about that. I
remember
didn't
remember
think about that.
remember she
Because
left
I
him
wonder why
tied
she
up.
didn't kill him. Right.
Yeah.
I wonder why she didn't kill him in the episode before that. Remember when she was like, "Oh, you told them about me,"
Mm,
and I thought she was gonna kill the dude. Thought she was gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you want to tell? You a snitch?" Pow, pow, pow. And then
yeah.
use the thread on him, but she didn't. And then in this episode, they running around together and they talking like they cool. And then she trapped him and she got him hanging upside. Yeah, you're right. He might be the Sith because she kept
Cause he
saying that was his master. That
mhm.
Sith
Hmm.
was his master, and it
And
might
we
be
know
like, yeah, I ain't think about that.
well,
Mm,
how Star Wars they might be, trying
mm.
to do what George Lucas did with Palpatine,
Yeah.
where it's like
Palpatine, yeah.
Plain
hiding in
sight.
plain sight. Yeah, hiding in plain sight kind of thing. Hang on, man, real quick. The
But who's
but
the woman
she leaves
that's
him
gonna kill him?
she leaves him hanging upside down, and then he hang on, man.
But who's the woman that's gonna kill him? Because you know a woman got to kill him. Can't be a man that kills him. It's got
Well,
to be a woman.
either it's gonna be May. Either she's gonna kill him, or he's or it's a woman in the first place. Um, so we'll see, but I think it's gonna be either Queermere or the Zabrak. The Zabrak, the one with the the Darth Maul head with the spiky head, but it's like a white Darth Maul.
Oh
Mm.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I know you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
Her.
That witch, yeah, it's either gonna be her or Queermere, and it's so fucking obvious. That's what's pissing. It's so blatant. Like there's no mystery to it at all. It's like really, really obvious.
Mm.
She leaves him hanging upside down by his foot. He can't get down. And then as soon as she leaves, we see the Jedi walk past that same spot and he's gone
He's gone.
right after him.
Yeah,
She gets to the house and finds the Wookiee slashed with the slash still smoldering. Like he got cut seconds ago.
Hmm.
We know that lightsaber slices smolder a little bit for like a second or three,
Yeah,
not
'cause it was a
for
laser.
20, 30 minutes. They don't sit there burning for hours, right? We never seen that.
Unless
We
it's
seen
they
burning
don't
in
arms,
cook
fur.
flesh. And they ain't
yeah,
cooking flesh for 30 minutes. Yeah,
Maybe the
and we
fur is smoking.
the fur, they had the fur smoldering and shit, but right on the slash, you know what I mean? It's obvious he just did it. It's pretty obvious that, and then Kamir and May, they argue about her plans for the future. She wants out basically, and he isn't happy about it. And then he gets caught, in this trap dangling up in the air, and May leaves him back there. And when she reaches the abode, finds the Wookiee dead, cut through. And when the Jedi show up to save Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, the Sith appears, right? Kind of floats down like Mary Poppins. When the fuck do Sith float and fly? Is
Hmm.
this is a new thing.
mm,
So that's why I also don't think it's a Sith. I think it's the witch. So it's either
yeah,
Quimir or
yeah,
it's
Well,
the witch.
well,
yeah.
well. I think Sith. I mean, Jedi and Sith can float and fly. I believe that.
No, no,
Because look what happened
absolutely not.
with remember the first episode where Qui Gon and
Anakin.
no Qui Gon and what you
Obi
call
Wan, Obi
Obi Wan.
Wan.
They was inside when they was going to meet up with the delegation or whatever in the
Mm,
beginning,
yeah,
and then those droids came to try to kill him, and they just dipped. They just
yeah.
flew up. They went up like,
Oh yeah, that's called a force jump.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a force jump.
Yes.
It's like a
Yeah.
super bounding jump they can do, like just jump really far. But
Oh,
it's
Yeah.
a
Or
force
high.
jump.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
force assisted jump.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they definitely don't fly or float or anything like that.
Nah, they
And
don't float.
Hmm.
um I mean, you if they did, you would have definitely seen the Emperor fucking flying around shooting lightning. I mean, they definitely would have done that if he had that
Yeah,
capability.
yeah, true.
But we the Jedi, they draw their weapons, and he this it's this gimp looking thing. It reminds me of the gimp from Pulp Fiction, right? With the zipper mouth, the leather
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it looks like. It's got a big toothy grin, like a big chrome teeth grin. I don't know, the design. It's ridiculous.
Hmm.
It floats down. Jedi draw their weapon. Episode ends just when things are, starting to do something. We're finally seeing something. We're 3 episodes. We're 4 episodes in. Nothing good yet. No real good, action or anything yet. And just,
Slade Wilding.
Slade. I'm digging the Acolyte. You think Acolyte is dopeness? 5 stars for the Acolyte.
Man, tripping.
Hold on, where's Stu Dog? What happened to Stu?
Still bounced out. I don't know.
Hold on, Stu's here. He just turned his camera off.
Oh yeah, you probably gotta.
Let me fix the avatar
Slade,
thing.
you sure you ain't on no bad peyote, man?
I think Slade is trolling right now. He just fucking
Hey,
around.
you're not on that crazy peyote, huh?
He on that troll. But hey, listen. If anybody likes the Acolyte, cool. I'm more happy. More power to you. I'm happy for you.
I mean,
If you're getting
I can't
something out of
really,
it,
I
I
can't really
can't
knock nobody.
understand.
Yeah, they like like what they like. Look, I like the
Yeah,
motherfucking Marvels. Yeah.
right.
Mm.
And I don't have no problem. That's what you like. That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you fucking enjoyed it. Hell yeah. Um, I can't enjoy it. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing I can get out of this shit, and you know, it's especially and even for this show, it's a frustrating cliffhanger because you know we're not too fond of the show, but as Star Wars series go, I think it falls right in there with the Obi-Wan Boba Fett bullshit, and is I can I
I,
can I can see like e- the power of one, the power of two, the
but
power of
you
many.
know, you know what? Maybe this is their reasoning for doing it. I think despite how the writer writes, the agendas that's involved, I think they want to say, oh, okay, it was women first before it became this. It was the force was so wholesome or whatever. It came from this, and now here's where we at. We just want to let you guys know that women came first, and then you guys, you know what I'm saying? I, some twisted shit going on, man, with
You know
a
what
lot
it
of
is, Raw Talk. Hollywood is obsessed with women right now, and they're obsessed with the fact that the Me Too movement started this with women empowerment. But Western women, like I keep saying, Western women aren't oppressed.
mm,
Um, Star Wars, I think that they're trying to make it a woman's thing. They're trying to get women into Star Wars and push
but,
it, Star Wars on women. But women don't like Star Wars. It's a lot of women don't like
mm,
sci-fi and they don't like fantasy. They can watch it and they're cool with it, but they're not into it like the guys. Like we're three men and we're
mm,
into it. And most of the men that have YouTube channels that talk about Star Wars, they're very into it. There's some women that are, and you'll find them here and there, just like you'll find women that are into video games, like men are into video games. But if you were to go on a whole about 100%, that hundred that out of that 100%, you might get 20%, but the other 80%, which is the bigger majority, is what they're trying to grab at.
yeah.
And it's just not, you can't do that. You can't take something that was established, that was really good, and then try to flip it and bounce it and make it something else. If you're
But there,
gonna do that, you gotta, like you said, well, you gotta start from scratch. Start
yeah.
your own story where a bunch of women did some stuff and came up, and then you kind of work them finicky, work them into the main lore. Like do that, but don't take what's already been established and then make it a joke and
Mm,
then act like this is what we were getting all along. Like this is how it's supposed to be. Don't do that. Like
mm,
after I watched this last
mm,
Acolyte, I can say I can watch it, but I know it's just not. It's like it's cheaply made. It's
yeah.
poorly written, but it does leave me asking questions because I want to know I want to know who the damn Sith is. To be honest, I really want to know who the Sith
Well,
is.
I believe
Um,
Khmer is a Sith. He might even be an apprentice to, if they're. I'm gonna give them a whole fuck ton of credit right now. I'm gonna give them a whole lot of credit and say, and a big benefit of the doubt, and say that they're actually gonna write something cool here. Maybe that's gonna go somewhere interesting with some Sith shit. And if that were the case, Quimir being would be the apprentice of a Dark Lord, someone like Darth Tenebris. Darth Tenebris
Mm,
is the guy who trained Darth Plagueis, who is the guy who trained Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine.
mm,
mm,
They mentioned Tenebris in this show, and like they're gonna harken back, but the timeline doesn't match up. It's way too early, and the timeline is very fluid in the High Republic because it's a bullshit thing. This is a High Republic show, by the way. All
mm,
this shit is High Republic. High Republic is this era um that Disney invented that takes place before the prequels, and the only reason they did that, see, they could have done after Luke Skywalker. They could have continued with the sequel trilogy and done shit after. But the reason they want to create this in the comics and create books and certain shows in this High Republic era and create this era is so
mm,
that they can do stuff and say, "Oh, this is before the prequels." So
mm,
anything we do here is valid. And it doesn't matter what George Lucas did because this is before all that.
mm. See, that's what I'm saying.
mm,
And then to Stu's point as far as the 80% of the audience, think about it. the guys our age, we're getting older.
Mm-hmm.
We're dying off in a sense. You know what I'm saying? As we get older, um, and then you got to think about it. There's more women on the planet than men. The demographic
Oh,
is
definitely.
flipped.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you put all that together, they're looking towards okay. There's more women than men. More women spending money than men because men for we're frugal with our money. We put our money where it counts. Where women put their money where they feel.
I
You
don't
know what I'm
think no,
saying?
I don't think depending on women as their financial base is a wise move.
I mean, but if they're looking at the numbers, because these guys,
Men spend way more in when it comes to Star Wars and shit like that than
well,
women do.
yeah, but I'm just saying on the whole, just in general, on
Yeah,
product,
yeah.
on things of that nature, women spend
Women
most
shop
of
more, yeah. Well, they
they
do
drop
more of the
more dough.
shopping.
Shit, they men give women money to drop. See,
I was gonna say
so
women do more shopping. Yeah,
yeah, you know what I
yeah,
mean. So they're looking at it at that point of view, and then the men who are the hardcore fans, they're getting older, they're moving on to different things, or they're dying.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
for
I mean,
you know,
the CEOs and shit are not happy with what Kennedy, what Kathleen Kennedy's doing with
yeah,
the feminizing of Star Wars. Bob Iger, he's not happy about it because he sees that
But you know what? Let
it's
me.
only appeasing to a small group of people.
yeah.
Can I ask a question
They're
then?
a vocal
Yeah,
minority.
why won't
Yeah,
they? You know, if it was under any other circumstance, they would have got rid of somebody like Kathleen Kennedy. I would like to know why they haven't done that.
because they don't want to get
Like
canceled.
Been
you,
to them parties. She been to them
right?
parties.
They don't want to get
You,
canceled.
you,
Yeah,
right?
she knows too much.
Yeah, you've had failed after failed after failed TV show, and under and any other network, they'd let that person go. They'd
Look
be
at
like, look,
Kevin
we gave you
Feige.
4 or 5 chances.
She been to
Look
them
at Kevin
Epstein
Feige.
parties.
Look at Kevin Feige, or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
They've been at them parties, man. They seen
at
the
them
get down.
Epstein parties.
They
Is that
been
what
to
it
those
is, man?
parties.
They've been to them
Is that what it
Epstein
is?
parties. They know
Yeah.
too much about motherfuckers. They
Only
can't be
thing is, they're
fired.
not gonna get the Diddy effect because they're one of the
White
people at the party. Yeah, they there.
Mhm.
See,
because they
they don't
white.
need him
Yeah.
no more. So it's
And they
like,
white. And they white. Reno's right. They
That's
white
right.
too. That's
so
but
they
Kathleen
know
Kennedy's
people.
failed so many times. They just won't. I don't understand why they just won't bring somebody else.
But it,
Anytime they'll
Well,
bring
she has
somebody
a
else
big.
in.
Kathleen Kennedy has a nice track record. Like she has a great fucking what do you call it
Oh,
resume.
movie wise, yeah. Oh yeah. She did Batteries Not Included,
oh yeah,
She
Indiana
just
Jones.
she
she's
just
She did Raiders of the Lost. She did all of Spielberg's movies. She
oh yeah,
did. You know, she
just
produced
let
all of them for him.
Star Wars shit is trash. That's all. She's just fucking up because she's hiring all her
she's
friends.
probably burnt out.
She might be burnt out, and she's hiring all her friends to do shit. It's crazy.
She's probably looking to. She want Geiger's position. That's probably what it is. She's so mad that she really wants his position.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because that's how it works. They want to work up to the top so they can give the
Mhm.
say so on everything without any feedback or anything. They want to be the end all be all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also, we also have to take into account why Hollywood's making all these bad decisions and movies because they can write it off at the end of the day. They're a business. So
Right.
they do 2 great movies and do 10 bad movies. Those bad movies they can write off, get the right, the money back, and do some more stuff. It's just
Mhm.
a business thing. It's just that's what it is, man. And we have to, as people who enjoy movies and different content, we have to start looking at these entities as what they are, business. That's it.
Mhm.
So when they make those decisions, it's based on business, not emotional, not fanfare, none of that. It's just by the numbers. What can we do? Okay, we're gonna do a Knight Rider movie. Oh, who we gonna get is David Hasselhoff. Oh, we'll get Ben Stiller. He ain't
Mm.
been in the game for a while. All right, it's gonna suck. Oh, well, we're gonna do it anyway, so we can keep the property. So we can keep the license along the way and make money off the merchandise if we can. It's business. We if we don't make enough money, we spend 200 million. We only made 80 million. Okay, write off. We'll get that money back. Plus, we
Mm,
get funded by the government, just like Boeing. They get federal money, just like Boeing.
yeah.
Hollywood
Oh
Right,
yeah.
right. Well, that's
business.
what they did. That's what Fox did with Fantastic Four. They wanted to keep the propriety, so they made that last movie.
Yeah, that bullshit.
Everybody knew that's what it was for. It was some bullshit.
Yeah,
Fox didn't care what it did. They knew they had to make a movie in order to keep it under
yeah,
their belt. And for years, Marvel was asking them for it back because they just weren't doing anything with it. They were asking X Men back,
yeah.
and they didn't want to give it up, and they just kept putting out movies just so they could keep it.
Yeah.
Same thing with
Even
Ninja Turtles. Nickelodeon owns Ninja Turtles, and they'll do Ninja Turtles, and then you'll see them die off. We don't hear nothing, no TV shows. Then all of a sudden, boom, a new Ninja Turtles pop up, new art, new
yeah,
style, new this, and
yeah,
that's how they keep it.
yeah.
Well,
Because
well, Dave Filoni's got some shit coming up with his Mandalorian universe. He's got a movie coming up. And I don't know if this is nah, I don't think so, but he's actually interested in a rated R Star Wars movie, which I find very interesting.
I do too.
The Dave Filoni is now the CEO of Lucasfilm,
mhm,
and he's much more in tune with George Lucas's version of Star Wars. He understands it. He gave us Clone Wars and Rebels, and he intimately, aware of everything to do with Star Wars. Um, he's a little bit selling out to Kathleen Kennedy because he knows that she's got some pull, and for whatever reason, he's sort of given her more leash than she deserves. But um, recently, talking about the idea of a rated R Star Wars film that has a bigger impact on the world, that's with violence, bloodshed, and some more mature themes.
mhm,
And Filoni found the idea quite interesting. And, as it was 2018 when they did Solo, right? The Solo, A Star Wars Story was released.
mhm,
And naturally, the film was rated PG-13, but fans felt that it lacked something, right? With Solo being a kid-friendly character, and fans felt that an R-rated film would have been ideal. And Dave Filoni's recent statement is now giving those fans some hope. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but since the first inception, 1977, the Star Wars franchise has always been a kids friendly thing, but it's always also been PG-13. It's never
mhm,
been PG, it's never been G. It's been PG-13. And
yeah,
with a global fan, following that includes children, teens, and adults now, the franchise has not really stepped into the world of R-rated violence or mature themes, even after 47 years since inception. And just like Marvel and just like comic book movies that everyone said wouldn't work as R-rated and da 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 da. Look at Deadpool. Look at fucking I think Blade. Fucking look at
Blade.
but
this new Dead. They're saying this new Deadpool might be the best comic book movie that we've seen in decades. So
but
and that's rated R.
at the same
Definitely.
time, like you just said, family friendly movie. Star Wars has been that foundation for that. Like
Oh
if
no, we're not. He's not talking about changing Star Wars. He's just saying like making one movie that's rated R. Still gonna do all the regular Star Wars movies,
yeah,
but
yeah,
just do
but
one rated R movie
one
just for.
movie opens up Pandora's box. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want that for Star Wars, really. I mean, we got enough with the violence and the lightsabers. That's cool. But do I want to see real crazy bloodshed on Star Wars? I'm like, Aliens, I'm good with. All these other properties, cool. Because
Mm.
those characters really we grew up with that with those characters. But with Star Wars, we are used to certain ways and actions of characters and the way lightsabers kill and stuff like that. No bloodshed. We're good with that. You know what I mean? I mean,
But
that's
see,
what makes it
you're
so.
thinking of it just as like an excuse for blood, and that's not what they're talking about.
But
His
when you
quote, he said, I think it's interesting that the bottom line is that whatever we do, it has to be really well done. I think when you look at something is taken as different as Andor, and it's so well done, I think that there's an audience for that. more adult themes. It's
Yeah,
almost like your taste, right, for food, your taste for cinema and visuals change as you get older. And because he's talking about the fans that have grown up.
but yeah, true. But at the same token, those same fans are the fans from the 70s. Like I stated before, we're getting older. We're the last of that era to where we consumed all this stuff. We consumed the toys, the cereals, the everything that accompanies a movie that we love. We consumed it. We're the last of that. These young people that they're trying to grasp with this content, they're not consuming it like that because they consume it in a different manner. You know
But
what I'm
see,
saying?
that's proving my point.
No,
We are the ones that are spending the money. Look at my room.
yeah,
I spend more on Star Wars shit now than I ever did as a kid. I buy more toys and movies and
okay,
shit now in my 40s than I ever did as a kid. So they're talking about doing something for
yeah.
those people that are the ones that are spending the bulk of the money right now on that stuff, and that's us.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm trying to illustrate is okay, what do you do after those people are gone? It's like
Well, I'm not going
you
nowhere.
no, you're
Bro, I'm
not
gonna be here
understanding what
another
I'm saying.
50 years, maybe, bro. They're not thinking about, they don't have to think about that yet.
Yeah,
It's not
but
like, oh, well, we'll forget the 40-year-olds, but we're the ones spending all the money and will be for the next at least 20
yeah,
years.
but we the 40-year-olds are we're still watching Jedi. We'll still watch Empire.
Yeah, we'll
We're
watch
used to
whatever
that.
they give us.
No. We whatever they give us,
We
we
even
didn't
watched the
like the
Acolyte.
last three. We didn't like the
We
last three.
we still watching them though.
We're
They
not
still
watching the
getting
last
views.
three Star Wars. We're not. That shit is out of my mind.
I seen all of them. See,
I
real
know.
Star Wars fans and major
No,
fans couldn't seem to agree more with Dave Filoni's comments, as the world is now hoping that Star Wars franchise will indeed take that next big step.
yeah,
Deadpool and Wolverine has really taught the world that adult movies are as important to cinema
yeah,
as PG-13 ones. But if Filoni were really to make Star Wars, a film that was rated R for mature themes, violence, and a small number of adult scenes, which character would be perfect for the job? And a lot of fans are saying that Han Solo would be the answer for that. And you
yeah.
know,
Solo
before
had
we delve into that theory, to clarify that a sequel for a solo Star Wars stories is not in the works. As far as we know, there's not anything. But with Dave Filoni's statements, fans are talking about the only thing that they can talk about is that Harrison Ford's Han Solo became notorious as a smuggler who enjoyed, who sort of eventually joined the hero's side, but he was kind of like he was a scoundrel. And in the movie Solo, a Star Wars story, which received kind of average reviews, kind of some people dug it, some people didn't, and different ratings from around the world. A lot of people claim that if Dave Filoni wants to make an R-rated Star Wars film, then a sequel to Solo is definitely where we should start. And with the character of Han Solo
Mhm.
being like an adventurer, with some violent fights and his devilish charm with the ladies, and the world sort of needs an adult Han Solo who behaves like an adult Han Solo. And um 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 what the fuck? What's his name? What the fuck is his name?
True.
Solo,
Billy D. Williams. I can't
Lando
think of his fucking
Calrissian.
His
name.
What?
God
character,
damn it.
Lando
Yeah,
Calrissian.
Lando. No, I was like having a brain
Lando.
fart.
Yeah, Lando
Lando.
Calrissian.
Yeah, Lando and Han and shit. I'm not really in agreement with a lot of the fans saying that though. I kind of think, you know, if they're gonna do an R-rated Star Wars movie, it needs to be Legends. It needs to be something so different from the known Star Wars. Like I agree with you, Raw Talk, in the sense that I don't want to see Han Solo or Luke Skywalker or any of those kid-friendly characters that we've grown up on doing adult shit. Like I don't want to see Han Solo hitting it from the back. I don't want to see no weird shit like that. Like
Yeah.
that's not appealing. But if they're gonna do an R-rated Star Wars, it would be amazing if they
Mhm,
did it in the Legends Old Republic
mhm.
era, an era that in the novels and in the comics is extremely violent, is
Yeah.
definitely rated R. You know what I'm saying? Like they couldn't even do some of the shit in those books in a rated R movie type shit. So
and that
that'd be the way to go.
and that's my point. Like, and we know the tendencies of Hollywood is to rehash and remake and remake and reintroduce. It just
Mhm,
like for what? Like we already have what we have and we're good. Move on
mhm.
to something fresh, something
Yep,
new. Build that up, just like you said. Old Republic. Get busy with that. That's
yep.
cool.
And
But you
Man, that's
know
what
and
I thought they were gonna do. I
yeah.
thought that's
Well,
what was gonna
somebody
happen when they first
yeah,
did
me
Star Wars.
too.
I thought like, we're gonna get all new material.
I
They're gonna
thought we were gonna
start
get Old
where
Republic
where
shit.
where yeah, yeah, where Return of the Jedi left off. I thought they were gonna move on from there and go forward from there, or maybe before the Skywalker saga. But
Mhm.
no, we didn't get none of that, man. Those last three movies, um, they just didn't make sense, man. Like
Oh,
they could have been better,
and if
but that's what we got.
even if they do a Vader when he had his apprentice, you know what I'm saying? When he had his apprentice hunting down fucking Jedi,
Jedi.
I wouldn't even want to
They
see
did.
that as rated R because it falls in between that and you know what I'm saying? New Hope. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to
Well,
see that.
a lot
It's
of
just
times Raw Talk they do rated R because like Reno was saying, they want to appeal to the audience that grew up, and they feel that doing a rated R movie would be more exciting for them than
not,
doing what they've been doing. But what they don't realize is we grew up with Star Wars with the way it is, and we like it. We
yeah.
never had no gripe
I'm
with the
saying.
with the whether it was R, PG, or whatever. We just want you to tell good stories. Like
Yeah.
like Reno read a lot of the books, and
Yeah.
when Kathleen Kennedy took over, she actually just knowing, nope, none of that's canon. We can't use none of that. We're never
Mhm.
gonna use it.
Yeah.
But those books was people. That's what people were asking for. People was like, yo, they need to do a movie about Prince Izor. They need to do Shadows of the Empire. Like everybody's been asking for Shadows of the Empire for the longest.
Mhm.
Never got it. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
great. A Dash Rendar,
Yeah.
or a
yeah,
Force Awakens,
Chickens.
or a Force Unleashed. I mean,
Force
with
Unleashed.
yeah, that
yeah,
would be
Force and
that
Star
would be
Killer.
amazing.
Yeah, that
Yep,
would be
the
dope, man.
Star Killer. Like they could do. It's a lot of Star Wars shit that would make great rated R movies, and that would be dope. Like it really would, and it would appeal to a lot of fans. Like it's a lot of fans in our age group that are dying for some of this shit. Like, you know, I don't necessarily agree that doing a Han Solo rated R movie or anything like that, but those are people that are only knowledgeable of the movies. They're people that are small-minded, they don't know about the larger extended universe of Star Wars, or they believe Kennedy when she said Legends wasn't canon. See, the thing is what they don't understand, it doesn't matter that she said that. It's not true. You know
Mhm.
what's not canon? Ray, the sequel bullshit, the Acolyte. That shit is not canon. You can
Exactly.
call it fucking canon, but the fans that are listening to those stories that are reading it, we don't count it. It doesn't count.
Mhm.
And here's the thing, you know, George Lucas, there's a rumor, and it's there's some meat behind it. A lot of Star Wars fans, consider Dave Filoni to be, the Padawan to George Lucas, right? He's kind of
Mhm.
like his acolyte, right? And as far as the likelihood of George Lucas returning to the franchise that he created, Dave Filoni thinks that his mentor, has too many other things on his plate to collaborate on a future project. And understandably, Filoni confirmed that he would always, be welcome to see Lucas return to some capacity, while highlighting the more subtle ways that Lucas has influenced various projects. Because Lucas has been on set at Mandalorian shoots and stuff like that, and he's been there. So, he's sort of given his nods and approvals on shit. And despite Lucas selling Lucasfilm to Disney back in 2012, he has been known to drop, by those sets in various movies and TV series, and like it's not fully known how many narrative suggestions that he makes on those, trips or whatever, but anything he fucking says, they're gonna go with, and what Filoni is gonna go with. And Filoni said, "I'm really very, very respectful of his time." On this podcast that he was on. And he said he has a museum to finish, which is going to be a phenomenal experience and project for everyone to see. It never ceases to amaze me how
Museum.
George just gives. Say what?
The
Yeah, I can't wait.
museum.
Yeah, it's
Oh
gonna
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
I definitely got my money
yeah.
already.
I
Hold on.
know. And he said it never ceases to amaze me how George just gives always his whole life, whether the jobs we all get or the jobs we all get to have when he's gone, telling stories in a galaxy he created, or whether it's building a museum so many kids can experience art, narrative art, and be inspired by that art, and maybe someday tell
Mhm.
stories themselves. He's just always giving, and so I'm very cautious. I've had a lot of mentoring from him, and the answer is yes, I do every now and then, but it's got to be something really, really important for me to go and seek him out. Talking about, I do, I would, like to see him come back and work on a project with me. He continued, he said, and yet, even when I do, it feels very mythical to go before him and talk. He's the most humble guy, right? He said it was the greatest asset on the Star Wars Clone Wars show, that that he could talk to George. He said, and it was the greatest confidence to know that he was there, to
Mhm.
know that no matter what we did, he was the backstop, and it had to be a little like maybe how Anakin felt with Obi-Wan sometimes. Like, Obi-Wan's got my back. I know he's there. So when he's not there, you're flying free, flying down that trench, and you're figuring it out.
Mhm.
Am I gonna hit that exhaust port? I don't always know, but we do our best. We
Mhm.
do it. We don't try. We do our best. End quote. Um, as far as whether that means Dave Filoni will be interested in seeing Lucas return to the franchise in a more, substantial way, he joked, "Would you say no? We rent the building I work in from George, so he has all the keys anyway. He can come right in. He has the pass.
He owns the land.
Yeah." He said, "I'll tell you, whenever he would come up with, would he said
Just rent
whatever he said
everything.
whatever he would come up with would be different. He always has the most. He's always the most surprising in what he would do and how he would push things, even when it's simple thing. Even when it's a simple thing now to people like Ahsoka calling Anakin Sky Guy or him calling her Snips. At first, I was like, I don't. Wow, I never saw that in Star Wars. How does that work? And as years went on, years later, you start to see, oh, this is like big brother, little sister talk. And so now it pays off for all of us all these years later. He added, when he says snips, it's like an emotional moment for me that it's like an emotional moment for people that grow up with it. They grew up with Ahsoka. Always think he is such a keen insight on those type of human things that make characters real, that
Mhm.
make the galaxy real. It's not just that the starships look worn, that things look lived in. He creates a world that's lived in because the characters have experience and they're very knowledgeable of their world. They lived a life, and that's what he taught us when he worked in animation. And that statement, I think, should be analyzed by the people making shit for Disney now,
Mhm. Exactly.
because creating this world where the characters know the world they live in, it's a fixed world that's been created and built. It's world building, and there are rules in a world, there are laws in a world, there's shit that just is in a world that you can't contradict, and this is what Disney just doesn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
They don't think that this exists, even to know to look for it. And I can tell watching Acolyte, Leslie Headland, she doesn't even know to ask. She doesn't know that there is something else. And it's not her fault. It's the fault of the people who put her in the position and gave her. I feel bad for her. Um I feel bad for the dude that plays the Asian dude that plays the Jedi. He's from
Squid Games.
Squid Games. I feel bad for him because he doesn't understand why everyone hates the show. because he did. He's fun. Like, what I mean. Like some of these people that were worked on this show, like they're not understand. They're not. They're getting all this hate, and
But
I feel
then,
bad for them.
but then you kind of gotta think like, is that just a cop out? Because Star Wars been around for how long? And then globally, everybody knows who these characters are or the world of Star Wars. Maybe
Hmm.
he didn't ingest it the way we ingested it, but at the same token, he should have some type of inkling why people are looking at it from a different angle and don't like it, because Star Wars was basically a boy centric movie. It was about a boy. The first time we seen it, Luke. It was about Luke.
But I mean,
It,
that ain't. It's
you know
all
what
the
I'm
shit
saying?
that they're doing, like that's fucking up the characters, or just fucking up the
Instead
weight
of saying
behind shit.
force,
Like
they say thread. Instead of
oh
force, it's thread. What
yeah,
and even when she said it, some people say it's the force. We call it thread. Okay, so obviously, what the fuck is the difference? You could still say the force.
yeah, and you can and you can say whatever you, but like having them kids being born of the immaculate conception, right? No
Yeah.
man is there. They're just they got birthed by the force. Well, the whole thing about Anakin being the chosen one, what made him special was he was born by the force. That was the whole deal. That's why he's the one guy in the universe. He's the chosen one. If you let other people just do that whenever they want to, it takes away the meaning behind that with Anakin. It just it
Same with Ray.
destroys the entire thing. Same thing with Ray. She does the same thing to the story. It's Disney's shit, man. They they don't realize what they're doing is, well, I think they do realize. They know what they're doing. They're trying to intentionally
Mhm.
make the Star Wars before Disney meaningless.
Yeah.
Listen to what I just said. They are intentionally trying to make the Star Wars before Disney meaningless.
Yeah.
That's why Legends is not canon. That's why uh Han
Oh,
Solo, kill him. All this shit. Luke, the Jedi have to die. Luke, he's a hermit. He sucks titty milk out of walruses. Whatever.
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
blue. And it's blue. And
It's blue
hey,
titty milk out of
hey,
walrus titties. It's
And
crazy.
he
hey, look,
tossed
fella.
his lightsaber
Right. Yeah,
over the
he just
cliff,
reject,
like on some
which is
dumb
to
shit.
show you that, yeah, rejecting
That,
everything that
like,
came
what?
before. Look, fella, I gotta break out.
And
Freaking-
I would have stomped.
but
I
you're
would
right.
have cut and stomped somebody the fuck out on the set. Like, yo, who wrote this shit? I would have been fired and jailed at that same
All right, Stu.
day, bro. Stu be easy. Yeah, I was
Word.
like, I can no longer take this bullshit. I don't care how much you guys are paying me. This is not
No,
right. This is
can't.
abomination, man. You don't do that to Luke. You don't do that to a masterpiece, because that's what Star Wars,
Oh yeah.
for the ones that we saw, are masterpieces. They they're iconic masterpieces.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just like Jaws, masterpiece. These movies will live on well beyond us as masterpieces. So why would you want to destroy that legacy? Why? Because of greed, jealousy, or just, oh, we're just gonna brainwash everyone into thinking that this is what it is now.
Right.
It's our shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Fucking yeah.
It's crazy.
George George Lucas got candid about the criticism of his first six, his movies during a conversation at the Cannes Film Festival on Friday. And he was speaking about the success of the franchise ahead of receiving the festival's honorary Palme d'Or uh, reward. And Lucas reflected on some of the negative comments that he's received over the years. He said they would say it's all white men. And Lucas said,
Alien.
most of the people are aliens. And the idea is that you're supposed to accept people for what they are, whether they're big and furry or whether they're green, short, whatever. The idea is that all people are equal. The only people that weren't equal were the droids. Those are the ones that, we don't want your kind in here and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That only happened. And he went on to say that, that them, the droids being discriminated against were, was a way of saying, people are always discriminating against something, and sooner or later, that's what's going to happen. And he said, I mean, we're already starting with AI saying, we can't trust those robots. And as for the issue of race, he said, in the first one, there were a few Tunisians who were dark, and in the second one, I had Billy D. Williams, and the prequels, which they're also criticizing, I had Sam Jackson, and he wasn't a scoundrel like Lando. He was one of the top Jedi, and he was
One of the strongest Jedi.
equal to Yoda, like type shit.
Yeah.
He was top. Him and Yoda were the top leaders, and he also responded to the criticism about the depiction of women in Star Wars, saying, "Who do you think the heroes are in these stories? What do you think Princess Leia was? She was
Is
the head of the rebellion. She's the one taking this young kid who doesn't know anything and this boisterous, I know everything guy who can't do anything, and they're trying to save the rebellion with these clowns." And the same thing with Queen Amidala. They're the
Mhm.
strong ones in the show. You said you can't just put a woman in pants and expect her to be a hero. They can wear dresses. They can wear whatever they want. It's their
Yeah.
brains and their ability to plan and think and be logistical. That's
Mhm.
what the hero is. And so he's he's there. I don't know if I can find the video. It's pretty good though, but he said the Cannes Film Festival has always held a special place in my heart. I was surprised and elated when my first film, THX 1138, was selected to be shown in the new program for the first time. Directors called Directors Fortnight. Since then, I've returned to the festival on many occasions in a variety of capacities as a writer, director, and producer. I'm truly honored by this special recognition, which means a great deal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Mhm.
it's funny, dude. It's just funny to see these ridiculous things that people believe and say, and it's just so easy to know better. I mean, they have no fucking excuse, man. They really don't. Now, Dave Filoni, like I said, he's got that Mandalorian movie that he's talking about. And he shared an update on one of his big projects in the Star Wars franchise, um, the Mandalorian. He's almost ready to start working on bringing the Mandalorian story to a close with a new movie. That's how he's going to finish it. Rather than doing more seasons of the show,
Mm.
they're going to do a movie to sort of put a cap on it. And
Mm.
it seems that there's still some work to be done before the film makes it to cinemas, but Filoni has a clear idea of where the story's heading. And uh, he was on he was up there with Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson on a podcast, and Dave Filoni explained how he is currently deep in scripting the second season of Ahsoka, and that is showing him where the culmination of the Mandalorian saga lies. He said, quote, he said, "Because I've been writing Ahsoka season 2, things have clicked, and I have pretty much a better idea about where things are going to go. I will say I have an opening I really like quite a bit. I'm very excited about it for that picture. I'm excited about the potential of just doing it. Right now, my main focus is clearly on Ahsoka as well as the rest of the galaxy and how it's spinning. When The Mandalorian released its first episodes in 2019, um, the show was, instantly loved. Like it was hailed as, one of the best Star Wars projects in years. And
Mhm.
Din Djarin was a character that originally was supposed to be Boba Fett, and they decided not to risk their beloved Boba Fett on this experimental idea of a Star Wars show.
But yet,
Isn't it
Book
fucking
of
ironic?
yeah,
Yeah,
and then they do Book of Boba Fett, like,
right.
which basically what they're saying is, okay, the Book of Boba Fett is basically Mandalorian. We just separated it and just put two different characters. We just separated it. It all
They
could fit in one.
Yeah. It's
Crazy.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. It's
Mental. Mental.
yeah, but it's funny. The the child, right, Grogu, proved to be something of the franchise had been, needing, and gave Lucasfilm a strong start with their Disney Plus live action Star Wars shows. So if it wasn't for the Mandalorian coming out as strong as it did, nobody would even continue to this day to be holding out for them to, do well. If the first show that they came out with was Book of Boba Fett, bro, nobody would even have fucking faith that Disney was going to be able to do anything. It's the fact that the Mandalorian was so good off rip that people are like, well, I know they can do it. And then they did Andor, which blew
Spectacular.
everyone's fucking mind. Yeah.
Spectacular. I love that. I love that show. Period.
And what's funny, Andor, like Acolyte, is made by someone who admittedly is not a Star Wars fan. And so it proves that even someone who's not a Star Wars fan, if they're good at their job, if they at least do a little fucking research,
Mm-hmm.
they can make something like Andor.
Yeah.
So don't the excuse that she doesn't know anything about Star Wars, or she's making her own blah blah blah. That's not the problem. Problem is that it's a trash production. Right? It's a trash production. That's the problem. It's not, it's just a trash production. There's nothing else. I don't care about the women. Like George said, that's not, come on. That's something, that's a narrative Disney put on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few misogynistic, whatever, white supremacist, whatever. Of course, those are in every franchise. You
Every.
have those in every, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, it don't matter if it's not just the Star Wars fandom is like that. What? And just the comic book fandom is like that. No, every fandom has assholes in it,
Yep. Yep.
but as a whole, Star Wars fans are inclusive. Um, that's what Star Wars is all about. It's all about diversity and inclusivity and all of that shit. But it's in a way that it's always been second nature. It's not in a way that it's like, oh, we have to talk about it every 5 minutes and down with the patriarchy and all that. The lady that played the witch in Acolyte in an interview, she's standing there. Well, she's not in an interview. It's actually she's like on a stage in front of a bunch of people talking about the show, and she's like, Star Wars is really, it's so patriarchal. Looks around for fucking approval because she doesn't know what she's saying.
Exactly.
I heard Star Wars was patriarchal. Do you agree? Like that, but she's not saying that. She's saying Star Wars is so patriarchal, so we had to do this because Kathleen Kennedy and some executives of fucking whoever at Disney told her to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Push that narrative.
Patriarch. Okay. So I guess Leia was not. Leia was the brains of Star Wars. Come on now.
Right. It's not even worth. It's what I'm saying. It's like anyone that is a fan of Star Wars doesn't even have to fucking consider that. That's a stupid remark.
And yeah.
Only someone who doesn't know about Star Wars could ever believe that Star Wars is misogynistic, patriarchal, racist, or any of those things. It's exactly the opposite of that. It's like saying the X-Men is racist.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. They just find these entities are calling these whatever think tanks or whatever you want to call them. They try to find ways to exist, and if they keep blurting out what they're blurting out, they feel that they'll have more years to do what they have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, if we quiet up about it and let us produce what we're producing and have good writers, okay, we don't have any controversy to stand on. We have to make trouble to get eyes on us. So that's what it
Yeah.
is. They want to make trouble to get eyes on them from everybody, even from the people that they want to accuse of all this shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at us. We're calling you guys out. Calling us out for what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
exactly. You're just telling you're telling on yourself. You're
yeah,
not calling us out. You're telling on yourself.
yeah. It's maddening, but this is what it is. And I always say, what is it that they say in the news? They say, or something is a phrase where all publicity, even bad publicity, is still publicity. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
it doesn't matter to them. It's just like in this day in society, it's how many eyes you can get on you. So if everybody's talking positive or negative about something, that means somebody that's on the outside want to know what's going on just by controversy, you know, by the
Yeah.
controversy alone. What's going on with this? Because these people feed off of negativity.
Right.
So that's all it is. And then you get the views online. That brings up ad revenue for whatever site or blog or what have you is putting out this shit. So, oh look,
Mhm.
we did these numbers and views on this article.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now you can take this to the people who buy ads and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Put your ad on this. We're rolling. You know what I'm saying? So it's all business, man. At the end of the day, it's business.
Yeah.
Even
Right.
them being
Absolutely.
who they are and doing what they do, it's business.
Mhm.
It's just business.
Absolutely.
You know.
And this bitch is in denial right here. She said, it's not normal for a series to be at 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. You right about that, Kathleen. It damn sure ain't. Blaming male Star Wars fans for the Acolyte's failure falls flat, and fans point out Fallout had a female lead too.
Mhm.
Fallout.
Exactly.
Let's let's
Fallout had a female lead.
let's go and see. How to make a series and properly talk to your fans before it releases. Lucasfilm, Star Wars need to take notes from the Fallout series, which, by the way, has a female lead who is very talented. I truly believe Lucasfilm are doing a terrible job right now at talking to fans. It
You're gonna get a little ad or something. Okay.
Nah, I was just opening up the full thing. It is not normal for a series to be at 16% on Rotten Tomatoes like The Acolyte currently is, and no, don't blame it on your male fan base. Take responsibility for the comments you made towards your male fan base before you even gave them a chance to watch your new show. It's
Mm-hmm.
before, and look, fucking Fallout 89% and
Mm-hmm.
93, you know,
Fallout
that
ain't no joke. It's dope.
hell no, Fallout is peak. I love Fallout, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many shows and series with female leads. It's just ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous narrative that she's trying to pump, man. And it's she's telling on herself. It says recently she gave an interview with the Times where she addressed the recent dip in Star Wars hype. The president of Lucasfilm has faced a number of challenges during her time in the company, being famously at odds with the concerning percentage of the fans. During an interview, she may have added to this conflict, as Kennedy seems to have a clear explanation for why so many fans of projects are Star Wars fans are failing. She said, "I think Leslie Headland has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because of the fan base being so male dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal."
See, this is the problem. All right. Her argument falls on deaf ears. Why? Because now women control a lot of aspects of entertainment now. They have a
Right,
lot of influence. So now it's not about it's male dominated or anything like that anymore.
right,
Okay, it's about the quality that you put out now. Now everybody's
right.
equal that you want, or even above equal. Women are even above equal now.
Yeah,
So now it's about your quality. Now you're making excuses because your quality is shit.
that's it. You can't blame nothing else no more. It's just,
You can't
it's
blame.
really the Acolyte makes it. Well, I say that,
Mm.
and I think the Acolyte makes it obvious, but there are still people in total denial that this show is good. There was I was reading something. Somebody was like saying that The Acolyte is maybe not the best Star Wars show ever, but it's a step in the right direction. And it's like, what? How are you even? How is this even a fucking
That's
a
somebody
show to you? Like, I don't even get. This is it's absolute. It's a joke. It's a complete fucking farce. And I think that they're doing it intentionally to fuck with us. I think that these women that make this shit, Leslie Headland and all of them people, it's a joke to them. You saw them laughing in the interview.
well, I
Oh,
think
it's the gay Star Wars. Haha. It's a joke. They don't care.
they don't care, but once it comes down to the numbers, like I said, it's always a business. That EI, whatever they call that, equity inclusion shit, they're gonna
Equality.
really find it out hard. They're
Yeah.
gonna find out the hard way in the long run. They're like, oh, we shouldn't have been laughing at this shit because now the
Yeah.
stockholders and the people who really make the money in here and
Yeah.
hire us, they're not happy because now off this Acolyte, they could have made action figures. They could have made a whole lot of if it was done right, they could have
I
made
was so
money.
excited for this show, dog.
They could have made a lot of money.
When
But
I
since they
heard,
do
you
that
know, when
bullshit,
we got the roster, like we got a list, like how we do with Marvel and shit. We got the list of all the shows they were going to be doing, and you know, it was like, okay, there was going to be the Mandalorian, right, Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, the Acolyte, and this is back when all we had was the sort of synopsis of what these shows were going to be.
yeah,
And I was more excited for the Acolyte than any show by far
yeah. It
because
was Sith based.
I like Sith shit, and I like Legends canon, and this, you know, Acolytes and the Sith. It's really this was supposed to be a Legends show. It was supposed to be a show that takes place in Legends canon, Darth Bane era type shit. That's where
Yeah,
Sith acolytes are from. When the Sith,
yeah.
when the planet, when Sith planets, there were whole planets of Sith. There were Sith armies, right? There were Sith civil wars.
Mm.
There was tons of Sith, and then like Darth Bane came through and like, you know, killed every Sith, like planets of Sith, all with like this one massive fucking power move, and it was crazy. And then like was down to just him and his apprentice, and he started from him and his apprentice with the last Sith in existence, and he was like, "This is it. It's the rule of two. From us on, there's going to be one master to have the power and one apprentice to crave the power." And that apprentice, their job is to get powerful enough to kill that master. When they're powerful enough to kill that master, they're pretty much expected to. You kill that master, and then you become the master, and then you get an apprentice. And
Yeah,
that's how it stays.
that's so much like Masonic order shit too.
Right.
That's what that shit is too.
That's exactly what it is. Like, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like you drop that knowledge on them. Like, look, you gotta destroy the master to become a master. You have to destroy the master. You
right.
have to best him. You
Mhm.
best the master by becoming a master. So the only way you can
Right.
become a master, best the master. So
Right.
that's always that's what that shit is, man.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
that's
Um, yeah, it's one of my it's my favorite Star
yeah.
Wars book by far, the Bane trilogy.
Mm,
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. Another great one is the Plagueis.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite too. But the what do you call it? The people on Twitter calling out Kathleen Kennedy for scolding and predicting predicting that fans um will not like something that hasn't even been released. They pointed out that the franchise is slowly losing touch with its fans, going further and further away from them thanks to the criticism they receive for poor shows. Kennedy's words are quite flawed, as not every female-led movie or TV show from Star Wars has failed. Perfect example of that being Ahsoka, which I fucking liked. I know a lot of people are not
Ahsoka
liking it.
was nice.
I liked Ahsoka. I did.
It was nice. It was just certain parts in the beginning, but I think the formula was to start off slow and build up,
Yeah.
you know,
And a
which
lot of
is
people's
cool.
complaint is that there's all these I don't know what this is and what's that and all this shit unexplained and all these unanswered things. It's like, well, it's just the first season, so there's a lot of stuff that
Mhm.
it's just the setup. It's a setup for a bunch of storylines, so that yeah, there's a bunch of unanswered stuff and cliffhangers because it's just a season.
Mhm.
Season 2 is where you're going to get all those answers.
Yeah.
So That if that's your only complaint, then fear no more, because season 2 is gonna answer all that. And because Thrawn, not that impressive unless you know who Thrawn is. You
Mm.
have to already know Thrawn is from the books,
And he's
um,
a tactician. So
or Clone Wars. Yeah, he's a tactician, but
yeah.
you have to know who he is previously, because what I mean by that is, like, if you just saw Thrawn in the Ashoka show only, that's
Mhm.
all you know of him. It's not that impressive. He doesn't do much. Um, those zombie troopers, the whole thing, that was really cool. I dug that. Like, I like
Mhm.
that kind of I always loved the idea of stray leftover stormtrooper battalions after the empire has been toppled and the emperor is dead and Darth Vader's dead and the emperor is no more, the empire is no more.
Yeah.
There's still all these battleships and armies of stormtroopers and outposts, right? And all these things where,
Mhm.
out in the outer rim that never got touched in the main war. And what are they doing? Because they're
Yeah.
not gonna just, they've got all the, now they're sitting here with all this weaponry and no boss and all this. Now,
Yeah.
now they can be a gang. Now they can be a
They
pirate
all turn into militias of their
warlord.
own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
militias, exactly. Militias,
Mhm.
fucking gangs, warlords, and shit like that. So
Yeah.
I always like, and George Lucas's plans. I don't know if I'm getting picked up. If George Lucas's plans for the original or for the sequel trilogy, we got Ray and all that bullshit. His plans were, it was going to be this female big bad,
Mhm.
which isn't that ironic? Was going to be a
Mhm.
female big bad. She's going to be like a gang, like a top gangster, like in the underworld, like underworld boss. And Darth Maul was going to be in it. Like, you saw a couple things in the Solo story um coming from that
Mhm.
his ideas. So it's going to be more of a thing where there was going to be like these, like I said, roaming like warlords of stormtroopers
Mhm.
and like abandoned, starships and stuff like that, stormtrooper gangs and shit out there. Jabba the Hutt, that whole gangster shit, smugglers, bounty
Mhm.
hunters, all that kind of stuff. That's what the sequel trilogy that's the sequel trilogy George Lucas planned to make.
Mm. Damn.
And that's yeah, exactly. That it pisses me off because, like, man, that would have been so
If he would have
amazing.
hung in for at least 10 more years, damn,
Mhm.
before he sold it, we
Yeah.
would have got what we deserved. I mean, we still got, the
I
first
feel,
3 prequels, but shit.
I almost feel like George Lucas is like laughing because he's kind of like, they can't do it without me. It's kind of like
Yeah, they
how,
can't. Honestly,
yeah,
they can't
yeah,
because he's when you're the master of your art and your craft and your vision, no one can duplicate it. They can only try to emulate it.
right. It's
They
like,
can't.
yeah, I can sell you the business, but you're not going to be able to continue doing what I did.
Exactly.
The fact that they even thought they could, the fact, the audacity of being like, "Yeah, fuck George Lucas's script. We're gonna make our own thing."
Mhm.
The audacity, bro, is just mind blowing. I
Yeah.
really do. The gall, it really
They
blows
could.
me away that they had that much nerve to think
Mhm.
that they could do that. And I think they're finding out now that they couldn't.
Yeah,
The
they
fan
fucked
base.
around and found out.
But yeah, and that's why they're trying to kill, that's why they're trying to make everything George Lucas did a joke and not count anymore. They're
Mhm.
trying to kill everything that is from pre-Disney. All pre-Disney Star Wars is, they are trying to eliminate and make it not matter, and just basically make it not matter. And by doing things like making Anakin's immaculate conception duplicated not once but twice with
Yeah.
the twins, that, shit like that. Doing that kind of shit is strategic. It's not by accident.
Or
It,
or 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 I would play devil's advocate and say that the immaculate conception is not a new thing within if they wanted to go that route, but they had to do it a certain way where the immaculate conception is never something that is rare to one character. You know what I'm saying?
But
Maybe it,
the thing about it was the whole craziness about Anakin. Like that was what made him the chosen one.
yeah, but that's
He's
for
the
that.
only one that ever happened with. It's like
As far
Jesus.
as we know,
Well,
if
no, but
we
that's
were,
the point. He's supposed
yeah,
to be like a Jesus character. It's
mm.
not supposed to be like, oh well, that can happen in that universe. Like in
What
our universe,
now
has that
if
ever
George?
happened after Jesus?
Yeah,
It's only
but
Jesus.
there was someone before Jesus in the
If
Old
you
Testament.
if you even believe Jesus is
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
So I mean,
But I'm
it's not
saying, I'm
even that.
just saying, breaking it down. If we're going into those parameters,
Yeah, but
like
then you got to talk about all these religions and shit, and then it's
yeah,
like Jesus isn't really the first one
but
that
just
they
like
told that
Nas
story
said,
about. Actually, Horus
yeah,
on the Egyptian is the first
exactly.
immaculate conception story. So, but
But
that's what
check
I
it out. Even if you break it down, just like even what Nas said, ain't nothing new under the sun. It's just how it's done. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we're always gonna
do.
see a cipher of everything. You know
I
what I
get what
mean?
you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, and you're right. Like in our world, that's true. I'm
yeah.
just saying, like you know, Star Wars is its own little universe, and
Mhm.
if you take that thing away from Anakin, it
Yeah.
takes away him being the chosen one. It takes away him being special.
Mhm.
That's what makes him the chosen one. So if you make anyone to be able to do that or other people be able to do that, then he's no longer the chosen one. Now he's part of the chosen what, 3? So
Mm.
it takes away the gravitas, the weight behind the fact that he's, the chosen one.
Now,
You know what I mean? Like
what if even though
that's
what
just
if by
one thing.
yeah, but what if by chance what you call it? He created Ray. What if he also created fucking Luke? You know what I mean? Anakin. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Who?
um,
Palpatine?
Palpatine. What if that was the case? Let's just say if that was the case. You know what I'm saying? Because he could manipulate the metachlorians. Like,
Only way that could be the case is if George Lucas said it happened.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, what if that was something? Not as a hypothesis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if that was that, then that would
Yeah,
mean Anakin is not the chosen one picked made by the Force. He's just someone that's been made by Palpatine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
'Cause that's the thing is Anakin is supposed to be the chosen one created by the Force.
Force. He just appeared by the Force.
His mother just got pregnant one day by the
Mm,
Force.
mhm.
And like there is that theory or not theory, but hypothetical of what if Palpatine is the one that impregnated her with the Force
Yeah.
and made Anakin and did that and then made his own apprentice. And like, yeah, that's a theory out there, but
Mhm.
it's not the one Star Wars goes with, but it is a
Yeah.
interesting theory. Yeah, it's definitely a
That
cool
was,
story idea.
crazy. But
Hell yeah.
but we go with what we know to be what
Well, that's the
George
thing.
Lucas put on us, you know?
Star Wars is what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a fucking that's the thing. It's a finite thing. And my thing is like if you want to create new stuff, like it seems like Disney, it's not it seems like Disney wants to create a new fan base. They want to create a new audience. And
but
that's
see
cool, but why do that with something that already has a built-in audience?
but see this
You're not you should nurture and foster that built-in audience
yeah,
and invite new people because that audience is gonna bring new people in.
but
That's all
see
they would
they
have had to do. But by alienating the fan base to then try and create this new fan base with the old fan base's stuff
mhm.
makes no sense.
But
If you want to create a new fan base, create something new for that fan base.
this is this is the clinch pin in the whole thing. They can't create a new fan base. Why they can't create a new fan base? Because we are the ones who pass down generationally the
Exactly.
Star Wars. It comes from us. We are the fan base that pass it to our children so our children can pass it to their children.
That's one.
See, they
Mhm.
miss that mark. They don't even understand that's what it truly is. We
Yes,
have to introduce the Star Wars to them.
exactly.
Like my sons know about Star Wars. It's up to them to pass it along. But if they don't have no
Exactly.
interest in passing it along, it's not gonna get passed.
Exactly.
So that's why I say we are the last. We are.
Exactly.
That's it.
And but I
That's it.
mean, we not the last because I'm putting my son onto it.
No,
And
but you know what I mean. It's like the last of the ones who truly got in depth with Star Wars, know it emotionally, can
I
relate to
hope
it. You
I
know what I'm
hope yes, yes. And I hope that's not true.
saying?
I hope that what's going on right now
Yeah.
with with Disney
Yeah.
fucking shit up the way they are and doing what they're doing, I hope that that actually works in our favor. I hope that that actually creates those kind of fans that you're talking about because this kind of stirs up interest and people are going, what is this controversy about? What is what's up with this acolyte? What's up with new Disney and Disney Star Wars? Well, what was the old Star Wars like? What are they talking about? And then they go check it out. And now this creating so I'm hoping that this sort of creates or creates a resurgence of fandom even
Yeah.
which I think is the opposite of what fucking Kathleen Kennedy's trying to do. She's trying to destroy true fucking Star Wars fan base, but I think this may strengthen it. And the only way that is going to happen is if this changes, if shit improves, right?
Yeah.
If just Disney and there's some people in the know that say that this shit is not going to change. This is just it. Disney has it now and they're going to keep fucking it up worse every minute. Everything they do, they're going to ignore what's from the past. They're going to create and invent new shit, new shit, new. Just forget everything you knew about Star Wars. That's over. Go read the books you love because that's done. That
And that's what's gonna end ultimately in Disney.
and
I
that's
mean,
gonna
it's already
exactly.
on
And
the
that's
way
why
down.
George Lucas is laughing. He's like, "Go ahead,
Yeah. Disney
go
is
ahead."
done. Yeah. Yeah.
If they but yeah, but people say that and it's like all they gotta do is all they gotta do is do it. All they gotta do is fucking get George Lucas and bring him back.
And follow the
Or
books, follow the reference,
the
follow
shit he
what's
laid
out
out.
there.
And yeah, and get instead of going and looking for people that aren't fans of Star Wars, go get people that are diehard fans of Star Wars. Other Dave Filoni's, bring them in and have them create the stuff that everyone wants. They know the stuff everyone wants.
And they can be back to $100 billion company.
And Star Wars can be back to the biggest, greatest franchise that there ever was. Um, and that's another thing. Well, see, that's Disney, right? Disney is a factory, right? They're a cookie cutter factory. They're a conveyor belt. They're gonna keep churning and spewing shit out. That's why we get Andor and the Acolyte because they're just churning shit out, and there's gonna be hits and there's gonna be misses.
Mhm.
So when people are like, "Oh, Star Wars is done and it's trash now," no, there's now trash Star Wars and good Star Wars. Used to just be
Yeah.
good,
The
right?
balance in the force.
Right. They've brought balance to the force. Disney has brought balance to the force in that
Oh,
way.
shit, we're
There
gonna
are
be crash.
there are now shitty Star Wars projects. There never used to be, and that's
Oh,
fucking people's heads up. There never used to be. I mean, yeah, the prequels got shit on in some respect. People,
I love
yeah, but we could hate Jar Jar Binks and still love
I
that
love Jar
movie.
Jar.
And some people love Jar Jar, and some people, do. So it's like,
Miso,
that's a
Miso
love
las
hate thing.
babas.
Oh my god. But that's the beauty of it. There's something for everybody there, and it didn't alienate people.
Mhm.
And now Disney Star Wars alienates people.
Yeah.
And it's like, but hey, like I said, there's gonna be good Star Wars and there's gonna be bad Star Wars now because now it's Disney, so multiple people are making stuff. Before it was just one guy. It was just George Lucas making Star Wars stuff, and he had Dave Filoni doing some animation stuff. Well, I was actually this is Disney, so but now that Disney has it, they're gonna have different people making different projects. So Leslie Headland made The Acolyte. Andor was made by another guy that also is not a fan of Star Wars, but created something amazing. So we'll get Andors and we'll get Acolytes moving forward. That's what I think. I think from now on, We're gonna get some Acolyte shit, and we're gonna get some Andor shit.
Mhm.
Andor goodness rather. I think eventually we'll start getting some Old Republic stuff. We'll start getting some Legends stuff
Mhm.
because, like I said, multiple creators are going to be hired and doing stuff, and yeah, there's gonna eventually they're gonna hit someone who's a fan and someone who knows the real Star Wars and someone who fucks with Legends and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
they're gonna make something dope, and we'll be happy again. There's a movie coming out called Dawn of the Jedi that is based on one of my most favorite Star Wars things, and it's a little comic series called Dawn of the Jedi, and it's about the Jedi, which is who the
Early.
Jedi were before the Jedi, right? And yeah, and like how they even learned the Force and how they even came about, and like before the Sith, there was this race called the Rakata, and the Rakata, they were like the dark force or the dark side of the Force users at that time, and the Sith were just a race. There's actually a alien race called the Sith. They have
Mhm.
like these red sort of tendrils that hang down from their cheeks, and they're like a dark reddish color. And they those are and they're Sith. That's and some of them were dark side users and some weren't. Like they were just a race of aliens. And just because that race of aliens was more adept at being good at dark side use, over time they kind of like how a tissue is called a Kleenex.
Mhm. They
Sith
became a
would just be
instead of
called
a race,
Sith.
they became a philosophy
Right.
and a religion. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And the Jedi became the Jedi.
Mhm.
And the Rakata were sort of wiped out. But yeah, they show how the first lightsabers were created, which
Mhm.
you had to actually use the dark side to even wield a light to even ignite a lightsaber. To
Whoa.
make the lightsaber ignite, you had to channel the dark side.
Mm.
And
That's
then
very interesting.
yeah, and it's all broken down in the comics. Then millennia later in later comics and novels, they get to a point where so that anyone can use a lightsaber, even guys who can't fuck with the dark side, they created these battery packs that they wore on the side of their belt, and it had a fucking cord like a wire attached to the bottom of the lightsaber, and
Mhm.
that's how they use their lightsaber. And then then eventually they figured out how to, I guess, fit it all
They
inside
they
the
had
hilt.
that in the early New Hope. When what you call it was using, I mean, this is more of technical stuff, but they showed the battery, the cord, the thing was,
Oh, yeah,
close to
yeah.
friends.
Used
So
yeah,
it's
yep,
like it would have been cool if they left that in and it would have been like, something ill.
yep,
But yeah, yeah, man. But that's dope, man.
yeah. So
Dope.
that movie that they're gonna make about that Dawn of Jedi comic series, that's a greenlit movie that they're making, and the guy who's making it, he was, he's got his script and everything, and Kathleen Kennedy comes, gets his script, fucking puts her 2 cents in, uh, tells him, "Oh, well, they manipulate the Dawn of the Jedi such a way that it supports the Rey narrative, it supports the Disney Star Wars narrative." So they're basically gonna twist the Dawn of the Jedi stuff to make their stuff make sense. But before Kathleen Kennedy, dipped in and did that, that guy was going to be making a dope project, and it almost got past her. And so what I'm saying is that in the future, stuff is going to slip past her. She'll be too busy working on some shit, and somebody else is going to make a project, and it's going to be dope. Or someone that a project, something that someone's work. They've already done it to this day. Like a lot of stuff Filoni's done, and the Andor stuff. They'll take stuff from Legends and put it in there, and she doesn't know. She said, Legends isn't canon anymore, and they take a bunch of stuff from Legends and put it in, and she doesn't fucking know.
Hmm.
That's the joke of it. She doesn't even know, so she has no way to know if they're using what she doesn't want to be canon anymore.
Yeah.
So like I said, so there will always be some good Star Wars that's still gonna slip through the cracks, just like hip hop. Same thing with hip hop. Yeah, the industry right now, hip hop, mumble rap. Yeah, it's not our hip hop anymore. This is not a lyricist game, but there are lyricists out there.
Yeah.
There is good hip hop happening. Like it's there. It's just not the main shit. But if you listen
Dig.
for it, you can catch it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to dig for it, man.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sometimes you just gotta dig, but it's there, you
Hmm.
know. And I think it'll be the same thing with Star Wars. It's the same thing with Marvel. It's the same thing with you know the
Everything.
MCU. Yeah, it's everything now.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Yep.
everything now. That's the beauty of diversity, right? So everyone's gonna have their chance to put their 2 cents in and put in their version. And it's like this is these people's version of Star Wars, the
Yeah.
Acolyte. And I said it. I was like, "This is the Star Wars that my little sister would have made, or this is the Star Wars that my girlfriend would have made." And what I mean by that is, I don't mean, oh, it's something for girls or there's a lot of women in it. What I mean by that, it's something that someone who doesn't know about Star Wars, but has probably been in the room while I'm watching the movies
Hmm.
and soaked in and heard some stuff. This is what they think Star Wars is.
Yeah.
That's how it felt to me when I'm watching the Acolyte. It felt to me the dialogue, all of that stuff. It feels to me like this is someone who it's like what they think guys are watching. It's
Mm.
like how it's what I imagine that girls are sitting around when they're laughing and joking, talking about their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. Oh, he's watching that Star Wars stuff. Like this is what they think that we're watching.
Yeah.
This corny ass, cringy ass shit. This super duper cringy, super duper corny, super duper fucking
Whenever
just
you gotta do this,
so deep.
it's not a good show.
It's not a good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is, and this is their show. So I'm not really worried about it. Like I don't think it's death to all Star Wars. It's just this show sucks. But I think there's gonna be good stuff coming down the line. I
Yes.
hope. But I think so. I mean, there's definitely some decent video games that are coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yo,
Yes.
before we go, the I wanted to quickly show y'all this. It's pretty dope. The I saw it was the intro to X-Men the animated series.
Mm.
They or the X-Men 97 intro. Somebody remade it with all the live action footage from like the Fox X-Men movies. So it's like an exact beat for beat, one to one remake of the X-Men 97 animated intro
Mm.
with live action.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Let me throw it up here.
I'm gonna drop a little treat on you before we drop out too. Oh snap! Okay.
Yeah. The so that's the intro of the show, and this is the da, 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 da. Dog.
They bugging. Where's what you call it? Vinny Jackson. Where that's pretty cool. It's decent.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't have
pretty cool.
Vinny Johnson or Vinny Jackson in it. Vinny Johnson. I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man. But
yeah.
wanted to show you something. You know,
What is?
today is Wednesday, and
Oh shit! Yes,
Destro.
yes.
I skimmed through it, but I'm gonna read it thoroughly. But this
Mm-hmm.
what came out, and then I had to get the ratio, the one.
That's the one I want. Yeah, man.
Get this, man.
See, I can't even get them at my shop, man.
Yeah, they only have one at. I caught this real quick. I always catch them, and
Mm,
they only had one of these because it's one out of I guess 15 bought or whatever or something like that, some ratio.
right.
And I was like, "Yo!" I looked down, and I was like, "Fiend!" I snatched it out, like, "Oh yeah!" It cost me $15, but I'm collecting these. Like, I have the Duke, I have the
Hell
Scarlet,
yeah.
I have Cobra Commander. So and
Hell
I
yeah.
know they did one with Stalker, but I want Stalker with his own name. I don't want it with Duke's name or Major
Right.
Blood with what I mean, Cobra Commander's name. I don't want that. I want
Right.
that there. So that's what I'm on now. Just yeah, but I'm gonna get into that book maybe tomorrow and break it down.
Oh
But
hell yeah. The
yeah,
I've heard good things about it. The reviews and shit are really good. I have it. It's just it's at the shop. It's in my what do you call it? My
pulls.
pull
Yeah,
list. Yeah, I gotta go up there and pick it up and shit. But
yeah.
um let's see. It says Destro 1 opens with the overturning of a government
Mhm,
as is seen in the preview already released. Um as for his issue, we know Destro controls a corporation known as Mars Industries, but it
mhm,
seems his strength needs a boost on a geopolitical scale, given that Cobra Commander has the tech and energon to power super advanced technology. It seems fitting that Destro needs to up his game and stay in line and not be overpowered. Destro still takes orders from Cobra Commander, however, it is distasteful. The geopolitical elements do lend a more realistic look to these characters. The overtaking of a government as a real thing that happens in our reality.
yeah,
Something in the Energon universe has been good at keeping things grounded as much as possible. That continues here. Um, Says Dan Waters does a good job fleshing out Destro via his ancestral connections for his love for war and weaponry. He
yep.
is he is evil as evil gets, but also a man of principle and ambition. Given
Mhm,
that Cobra Commander comes from another planet, Destro adds a human element to the evil side of the Energon universe. His ambitiousness is obvious, although the man seems a bit too simple. There isn't much time spent on him as a person.
mhm.
Mm.
Well,
Oh wow.
you're gonna check it. You're gonna check. Darklon is in this.
Oh really?
Yeah, Darklon is in it,
Nice.
and that's
I
if
can't wait for that figure.
yeah, I'm gonna let you. Should I spill the beans on Darklon? Not in total.
I mean,
He's
yeah, you
Destro's
can.
cousin.
I
He's
know who he is.
Destro's cousin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know Darklon. Yeah.
yeah. So Darklon and Destro, they it's pretty dope, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. I can't wait because I was really hoping that Classified would make a Dark Lawn figure, and
Yeah, right.
I think this is kind of like a good indication that they might because we know
Mhm.
that Classified is doing the Energon universe versions or
Yeah,
one they're copying each other. I don't know who's copying who,
yeah,
but
and
they're the
it's
same
more
exact. They're like
inspiration
this
for a movie.
Destro. Yeah, and the Destro on the cover is the same Destro, the Classified figure,
Yep,
like
yep,
same
exactly.
design.
Same everything. Yep.
So everything in these books, all these characters been the same. So I'm hoping this means we're getting a Dark Lawn Classified,
No,
but it'll be dope.
yeah,
But
uh,
I can't wait
that
to read them.
immortal Nemesis Immortal looks crazy.
Yes, dog. I can't wait to see the digital render for that.
Fighting the power not to jump back in it, man. But
Yeah,
he looks nice. He looks nice.
yeah,
He looks real good. But I stick to my guns.
yeah, man. Well, all right, y'all. We will see you guys, man. We're gonna be back every Wednesday, every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned for some videos, some pre-recorded joints that we're gonna start putting out. Hit us up and give us that like and them comments and all that good stuff, man. And we'll see you guys, man. Be safe and have a good week. Peace.
Peace.